We are live.
We're
We are
live.
live.
We're live.
We are live. Everyone, welcome to another episode of WP Townhall, the show that drops you deep into the heart of pivotal debates shaping the WordPress ecosystem. My name is Mark Smansky. I'm joined here by Kevin Geary, my co-host, and very interesting. We have today in the title here of the kind of like the slogan, so to speak, of this podcast. We haven't really had a true debate yet. Today we are having one. We are joined by Robert DeVore. I will bring him on right now. Robert, thank you for being here, brother. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to tee it up real quick. I'm going to kick it over to Kevin for some opening remarks and everything like that, and then we'll kind of just dive into it. An X post that Kevin had, I'll let him describe it and everything like that, is kind of what initially started this. There's been a lot of really good, insightful comments like back and forth on that. Robert was kind enough to jump in here and have an actual, kind of debate again with Kevin. So I'm going to be moderating. I'm kind of just be asking questions, monitoring the chat. So if you guys do have any questions, make sure you drop them in there. I'll drop links and everything like that as this goes on. If you want to be a part of this conversation, you know how the format here is on WP Town Hall. You could do that later, and we could, have a whole, more of the town hall type vibe. So definitely look out for that. Just the overall framing, if you guys aren't familiar, again, I'll put the link in the chat here, but are low budget clients a good niche for freelancers and agencies? Do low budget websites really move the needle for small businesses? That's kind of what we're going to be talking about here. So with that, Kevin, if you want to kind of like open it up, just kind of with your position and everything like that, and then we'll kick it over to Robert and we'll go from there.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. And thank you for everybody for coming, for the viewers that are here. Definitely say hi in the chat when you arrive. So just to set the stage, like when I look at the landscape of web design in 2025, like I see three pretty problematic things. One is I think there's an epidemic of like obviously low budget small business websites. They're just kind of sitting there, not really doing much to contribute to a business's growth. They tend to be owned by small business owners who, and I've been on plenty of sales calls and discovery calls. They're owned by small business owners who usually can't answer a single question about their site's traffic or leads or conversion rate or anything else. These types of sites, they're often an afterthought. It feels like they've checked a box and that's essentially it. It's a digital business card, a digital brochure, and it's not of much consequence to the business. They can be crushing it offline. They can be crushing it in a lot of different ways, but it feels like somebody just showed up and checked the box of our business needs a website. I think there's also an epidemic of freelancers and small agencies serving this low budget niche. Of course, part of my job, my mission has been to help freelancers and agencies try to level up, try to get out of the rat race of like living project to project, playing this game, I feel, of like racking up maintenance plans because they're trying to insulate against the problematic pricing strategies of the projects they're actually selling to these low budget clients. And then I also see a digital marketing landscape that radically changed from 2010 to 2020. It radically changed again from 2020 to 2025. Yet we're hearing the same rhetoric from freelancers and small agencies about what works online and what's necessary, as if it's still 2010 and 2015. So with these 3 points in mind, I'm essentially going to make 6 arguments. And these 6 arguments are designed to help both groups of people. Like I said, I want to help agencies. I want to help freelancers. And when I say agencies, it's usually the smaller agencies. And I also want to help small businesses, like the clients that we actually serve. On the freelancer side, I want to see more freelancers and small agencies escape that grind of low budget projects and the project to project rat race. And I want to help shield their businesses from the AI takeover that is about to happen directly, by the way, within their current pricing niche. On the client side, I want to see fewer small businesses burn cash on what I think are a lot of dead-end business card websites that are often sold by these same freelancers who say things like every business needs a website as if it's still 2010, because low budget startups, what they really need is real ROI, not unnecessary digital business cards. Okay, so here's my 6 arguments. We'll just get through these real quick. I'll give the floor to Robert after this. Argument number 1, if a small business is trying to be in the sub 5,000 price point, there are likely better opportunities that they can pursue. Effective advertising campaigns and top ranking websites in 2025 cost far more than $5,000 because that's what moves the needle today. You have to put more money into these efforts today than you used to. Like the 2010 era of cheap sites that capture free traffic, long gone. And that's unfortunate, but it's a reality that I think we have to accept. Agencies and freelancers who are clinging to this outdated playbook are essentially selling Kool-Aid that expired many, many, many years ago. Argument number two would be websites don't magically deliver leads and sales and business growth, right? You publish a website, nothing is going to change for that business tomorrow. Nothing is going to change for that business next week. You can get 6 months in and nothing has changed for that business. And I've talked to countless business owners, once again, who don't know the analytics. They don't know the numbers. They don't know if their website's doing anything for them. If you do want it to do something, it's because you're pouring more money into marketing. You're pouring more money into getting that traffic to the site. What we can do instead, if we don't have the money, by the way, that requires more than the $5,000 that they said that they were willing to spend. Okay. You can list your business on Google. You can list your business on Yelp. You can list your business in industry directories. You can do a lot of different things that don't require you to spend the little amount of cash that you do have. Okay. And we can still drive results. Argument number three, low budget clients need to focus on higher ROI activities with shorter runways. Once again, if a business's budget, they come to you and they're not willing to spend greater than $5,000, there are probably far better and faster ROI opportunities for them to pursue than a business brochure website or a business card website. This is simple investing 101. If you need to double your money in a short amount of time, you don't walk into the bank and put it in a CD. You need to find a better vehicle for the money. Argument number four, websites are often not the real driver for small businesses that people think they are. I used the example yesterday in this exact same discussion of a landscaping company that I started following on TikTok. They are crushing it with viral videos. They essentially donate their services to poor homeowners in bad neighborhoods. They're going crazy on TikTok. Here's the thing. They can easily get fully booked out without a website just by doing contracts through DMs and text messages. But here's the thing. If they send that traffic to a website, whoever built that website is going to brag about the traffic and brag about the conversions. But that website is inconsequential to those contracts. They can get them without the website. We can't look to that website and say, oh yeah, that's critical for them to have that. Nope. No, they could get all of those, every single one of those contracts. They could get DMs and text messages. Why? Because the magic is what they produced on TikTok, not what happens back on their website. Number five, beware of the low budget lie. Many of these clients claiming that their budget is $5,000 or less have tens of thousands of dollars in the bank to spend, and they're spending far more money in their marketing efforts elsewhere. But when it comes to websites, they're uninformed and they're often misled by Wix and Squarespace ads. They think websites are cheap, anyone can build them, and they don't want to spend much on what they feel is a commodity. You should not be entertaining these clients. You should be educating these clients. And my final number six argument would be this. AI is going to dominate the sub $5,000 budget space. With any line of arguments, okay, there are going to be outliers. Like in the things that I've said so far, there's going to be some outlier examples. I'm fully aware of that. So my argument regarding outliers is basically twofold. Number one, that niche doesn't need professional help. Cheap generic sites are handled by Wix and Squarespace and the like right now, and will allow businesses to protect more of the little bit of cash that they have. And two, AI is going to dominate the sub 5,000 niche within the next 18 months. If that is the niche as an agency or a freelancer, if that is the niche that you are choosing to play in, you should be terrified for your future. Okay, I think these arguments are pretty clear. I think they're pretty sound. I'm going to give it over to Robert.
Okay, real quick, I want to jump in there. Kevin, appreciate that. Robert, if you could just do the audience a favor as well here, if you could kind of like, maybe you were already going to do this, but just kind of give a little bit of a slight background about yourself too, as well, like kind of the experience that you have. So, you know, kind of everybody understands the perspective. And then if you have opening statements, I would love you to make those right now. Because I think that if you have arguments too, you can make those as well. But we could probably, like in the chat here, we're seeing like Kevin made a lot of like arguments there at the top level. It would be great to dig into any of those like independently, but I want to give you the time to actually make like a broader, you know, kind of sentiment if you have that first. So floor is yours, sir.
All right. My name's Robert DeVore. I've been in the WordPress space since around 2005. Did a freelance agency for about 15 years. Did agency work at a few different agencies over the last 5 or 6, and now I'm back doing freelance work for myself and working on Static, which is a static site generator. That's basically I've been here, there, and everywhere in this space. I've built sites, I've managed sites, I've done affiliate marketing on sites. I ran content sites back before I even got into the WordPress space. So I've been around the block a couple times. So I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about when I say some of this stuff. We'll see.
Awesome. Sweet. Did you have any like main kind of like overarching arguments that you kind of wanted to kind of like list like that, or just opening sentiments, or you just want to dive right in and just have kind of a conversation, I mean, back and forth with those ones maybe that Kevin made? Or
Kevin laid out a lot of different points, so I feel like it would be better to go through those since he's already laid them out, than just scattering everything around with my random thoughts compared to his random thoughts and then trying to bring them back together.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I mean, I think maybe the best effort then is to, if you want to pick one, I know you're writing some notes there, if you want to pick one, and then you guys can kind of just go off that.
I would like to first point out the fear tactics. The AI is going to dominate. They're going to crush you. And we can all kind of agree that. We've seen WordPress just launch an AI website builder, and it's not crushing anything. It's not killing anything. It's not going to, take over your jobs. And the people that are going to be clicking those buttons and putting those up anyway, we're not the people that are going to be looking to spend $500 or $1,000 or $2,500 on a site. And so that way they can do some other things with their money. So, there's a lot that can be said about the $5,000 limit. That's like this is where we're supposed to meet now. What's the criteria for what the website is? I asked it a few times on Twitter and never really got a solid answer. So it'd be nice to get like, what's the structure of a $5,000 website? What are you offering? What is it? Just the website design? Are you ongoing content marketing? Is that maintenance as well? Are you doing the pay-per-click and SEO? What are they getting for the $5,000 in order to justify the $5,000 price tag? Because if we're just talking about building a website, you can take 8 hours. Any skilled developer and website designer can take 8 hours and create a website with pre-existing content, or even just generalized content based on the knowledge they have working with websites, to put together a solid landing page or two for the client and let them then see it and work with them on it, have it done. And it took them 8 to 10 hours to do. So you're looking at 50 to 62, 50 an hour. That's more than most senior web engineers get at an agency level. So if you're looking at what's cost effective for both the client and the freelancer, what's going to benefit both of those people, and who's going to come out of it feeling happy like they did something, I feel like that would be an alternative worth exploring at least, and not just arbitrarily saying, well, because they didn't spend $5,000, they're not worth my time now. So now it's a more of an ego issue, I feel, than actual value driven what you're giving the client. So we can explore that some more. I'd like to hear Kevin's thoughts on what it actually is a $5,000 website and what it offers.
So I think that the premise probably has to be fixed up a little bit here. This is not a debate of $500 websites versus $5,000 websites. My initial argument, the context of my initial argument was, you are a freelancer, you are an agency, and somebody is coming to you wanting your services. And there's an initial discussion about what is your budget. And if a business, right, is putting themselves in a sub 5,000 budget category, if we just polled them, I'm pretty sure 99% of them, hey, what do you want to get out of your website? Well, I want traffic, I want leads, I want sales, I want this. Okay, cool. So how much money do we have to work with? And they're putting themselves in the sub 5,000 range. What that's telling me is, in the modern era, they do not have the funding necessary to really get the results they're probably thinking they can get in their head. And so as a consultant, my job, for one, to protect my agency, because it's really, really, really difficult to scale an agency off of that niche. Okay. And we get stuck in the project to project cycle trying to do that. And then we have to jump and run to things like build up your monthly maintenance plan portfolio, because, when things are slow or you don't get a project, or that's going to help pick that is a solution to a problem that shouldn't exist in the first place. So what I'm looking at is, okay, I'm looking at somebody coming to me for advice saying, I want a website, I want leads, I want sales, I want to use digital to my advantage, I want to help it grow my business. But they're also saying, I don't really have the amount of money that's necessary to spend in this day and age to get the results that they're looking for. And so I want to help them. And I don't help them by saying, well, I see you only have a little bit of money. Let me just take all that, and I'm going to build a website for you that actually isn't of much consequence to your business. And then I'm just going to tell you good luck, right? Because you don't have more money beyond that to pump into it to really make it work. And so my advice has been, no, let me just give you some better advice on a dozen different avenues you could pursue that do have higher ROI, that do have lower costs, and that do have a shorter runway for getting a return. And then as you get a more established business, and you're less in the like prove the concept phase or whatever other issues your business has, that it doesn't have $5,000 laying around, and really more than that. I would like to see you direct that to a more productive activity for you as a small business. Okay. I don't want to just take your money, ship something, and then it's like the epidemic I talked about earlier, where you have no idea what it's doing for you. You don't know the analytics. You don't know the numbers. It isn't actually doing anything, because my other argument, which is this is not an era of if you build it, they will come. If you build that site, it's going to sit there and do absolutely nothing. If you don't have a plan to funnel traffic to it, and targeted traffic to it, is going to sit there and do nothing. So they could just light that money on fire and essentially very often have the same exact outcome.
Robert, I don't know if you had specific response to that, but one thing I do want to tie into here, I don't know if you fully answered the one question, Kevin, of like what exactly that website looks like. We could definitely get to that as well. But one thing that's related here is I do want to say, from reading through the thread, one of the things that I saw come up a lot is, are we talking past each other when we talk about the actual business that we have here? Like, I think, Robert, and I'm going to kick it to you. What is your definition of a web design agency? Is it not touching any of the marketing stuff? Because I know that's one of your points is like, I think Kevin's talking, your definition of is more of a marketing agency. So how do you bridge that gap? What does that actually look like? And what are your thoughts there from what Kevin said?
I think I have a couple points actually. First, I would like to say that I don't understand why, if you're talking to a client, that your first question is what's your budget. It's kind of weird to me. I feel like you should be discussing what their actual needs are, knowing what the project's going to entail, figuring out a scope of work, and then actually presenting that to them and letting them know, this is what we've discovered during our review of what you need. This is what it's going to be. And then you work on whatever the pricing issues are, or whatever they come back with. Asking how much money you got, that's kind of weird. That's a weird business practice, in my opinion. So I don't understand how that would be. And I also still don't understand what the $5,000 business entails. I feel like, are you building a website that's beautiful looking? Can you take a theme and customize it and make it look really well? Throw some advertising or some advertisements, like some pop-ups or some modals and some simple landing pages with some content for them. Can you draft that up in a day and have them able to actually have a website that looks good, runs fast, and will help them rank when they start adding more content to it? Because the back end of this is, Kevin's argument is, the business owner doesn't know. They don't understand. They're dumb. You have to inform and educate them. They're ignorant. They're going to choose some AI tool instead of you because they don't know anything, and that's their fault. It's up to you to actually tell them what's up and show them the ropes. And that, again, seems like a weird stance to be going into a discussion with a business owner who's probably had their business longer than your agency. So that, I don't understand where that comes from. It just seems like more fear tactics, more fear. You got to instill fear in the freelancer. So that way, the original tweet, if you go to it, it starts out and says, if you are doing websites for under 5K, stop. There's no definition of website. The next sentence says, if your client doesn't have 5K for a website, they don't have a business. Who says? They can have a great business and then, like you said, not value a website enough because they can just do DMs, which, by the way, is a bad business to do, because what happens when Twitter goes under, or MySpace disappears, or GeoCities is no longer a thing? You're going to not tell a client you need to have a home base that looks good, runs well, and you can point people to through 1,000 other avenues than Google ads. It just seems like you're trying to paint yourself as the savior of this client rather than the person helping them and guiding them properly without overreaching.
Okay. I wrote down 4 things there. I'm going to start with the last one. Doing business in DMs is a bad strategy. So I gave the example of the TikTok business, and it was the lawn care company. And what I mentioned was they're literally going so viral with that content that they can just fully book their business out off of that strategy alone. Now, did I make the argument that they should do those contracts in DMs and text messages for the rest of time? No. Everything is relative and everything is contextual. When a landscaping company fully books themselves out, I now presume they have money, right? And now they can take that money and go properly invest it, right? And so my advice to them, if they had come to me before all of that had happened and they said, well, we really need a website, but our budget is very small. We only have $2,500 to spend or $1,500 to spend or whatever. And the conversation is, how much do you have beyond that to actually drive traffic? And they go, that's what we have. That's our budget. Okay. I would not build them a brochure website. I would literally advise them, hey, there is a number of other ways that you could get fully booked out. I could take your $1,500. I could take your $2,500. We could try to build a website in a day and slap it up there. Nothing is going to happen tomorrow. Nothing's going to happen next week. Okay. I would rather see you go invest your time and money into these other avenues, get booked out, prove that you're actually you have a customer base that is bringing in enough revenue, and then come back to me. And now we'll talk about going to the next level, because the next level in 2025, again, this is not 2010. We can't just build a website and do some SEO tricks and all of this. It is 2025. And if you want to play the game, and I did a live stream yesterday where I looked at the Google listings. If you want to play a game against directories and corporations and franchises and everything, you need money. And I'm just being honest with them. You don't have the money to play that game right now. I would like to see you play a different game that you can actually win and get an ROI faster. And then we can come back and we can do it the right way. Because yes, you do need a home base. Yes, you do need a website. We just have to do it at the right time. Okay. So that's number one. Should you talk price? Yeah, go
real
ahead.
Quick,
yeah.
Robert, do you have? We're covering a lot here, so I want to try to make sure that we're hitting specific points. I want to give you the opportunity. If you don't have anything there, Robert, totally fine. But do you have something specifically that so it doesn't get lost?
No, we can just keep going.
Okay, cool. Just jump in. Don't talk over each other. Let's try not to talk over each other. But also, I think that it's very important for the audience that we hit on individual points. So if we do have that, let's make sure. Don't worry about that. So go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. The should you talk price early thing. This is simply a sales strategy that I've taught. And it's a 2-part strategy. Because typically you're going to look at a business before you get on the phone with them. So they might have an existing brochure website. They might have no website at all, but they're giving you the details of their business. And before you're on the call, they're already telling you things like, hey, I'm a startup, I'm this, I'm that, yada, yada, yada. Or they have an existing website and you click, you go to it and they got multiple locations and they got 10 team members and they got all this stuff. And you can clearly see, okay, money versus no money, or maybe doesn't have money. Not every startup is broke. Okay. Maybe they don't have money. I can see clearly this company has money. And so the strategy is very simple. You get on a call with somebody. If you know they have money, there's no need to talk about price. You're going to ask them all the right questions. You're going to walk them through the value. You're going to walk them through the process. And then you're going to talk money at the very end. Okay. Because you already know they can afford it. The objection is not going to be a price objection necessarily, especially if we use a bracketing approach. But if it's a company where I don't know, I'm pretty sure they don't have the money, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just going to check, because I don't want to waste a whole hour on a sales call when the end result is going to be, okay, I'm sorry, you don't have the budget, right? So it's just, you talk money early in those calls, and it's not, hey, how much do you have to spend? I've actually said, never ask that question. Never ask people, what is your budget? Tell them, our project start at $5,000. Is that do you have that? Is that surprising to you? Is that, or, what is your reaction to that? Just letting them know, hey, this is the starting price and we go up from there. Are you aware of that? Were you aware of that? And see what their reaction is. Okay. So it's just 2 different strategies. It's not the same for every single client, but I want to make sure that I know who I'm talking to before we have this hour-long discussion about all these tactics and details and technical stuff. We got to make sure that we're on the same page.
If it feels like that would be something that you could do way before a call. I feel like the
You probably
initial
could. Yeah,
conversation,
sure.
if they reach out to you, obviously they're already thinking about a website. They're wondering about it. They went and looked around. They found you because your marketing's so good. You're number one in the results, and they seen your site and they come to it, and they're writing you. And there should be a way, I feel like, maybe to pre-qualify before you even schedule a call, because now you've just booked out that whole hour, even half hour, 15-minute call, whatever it is, but you've booked it out. Now you've wasted your time, you've wasted your team's time, you've wasted the client's time, the potential client's time, and you could have pre-qualified that way earlier again, and then never have to go into the conversation saying, what's your budget, which is what you said earlier in the call.
Yeah, not necessarily, because I've been on a lot of calls where, again, we have to keep in mind these many business owners who don't understand what goes into a website. They don't understand what it should cost. All they know is Wix and Squarespace ads. That's all they've seen. And they think everything is just super cheap and anybody can do it and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, you can ask them in email, hey, are you aware that our project started at $5,000? A lot of times I advise agencies and freelancers to put the starting price on their website. Okay. But that people don't always see it. The reason I still get on the call with them is because there is an education gap. And very often they will try to lowball. They will say, we only have $3,500 to put into this. Okay. And then when I start asking them more questions, digging into that a little bit, it's revealed that actually they're doing $5,000 to $10,000 in radio ads, and they're doing this other stuff over here. And they simply don't know the value of a website or what it's supposed to do. And we start having a conversation about what a real website looks like in the modern era and what it can actually do when you put the proper money into it. And suddenly they're inspired to actually, okay, let's investigate this. But that's very difficult to do by email.
I think the only thing, Kevin, I think you have a couple more points maybe, but like the only thing there for you, Robert, is you mentioned it earlier. Are you saying you have a different tact, like in the freelance experience when you're getting on those calls with the budget side of things? Like, what's your strategy there? Do you do that afterwards? Do you just like whip up the solution, and then what's been your experience there?
Get the initial contact, talk to the person, give them a little bit of information about what it is, because they're already understanding what I do because they've already landed on my site. And if I've done a good enough job, I've explained some of these things to them already. So they've pre-qualified themselves just by emailing me. So now I let them know base what on their initial request is. I can tell them a rough estimate of what that might be, or this is looking like this many hours or this many weeks, or however long, however you're going to frame it based on whatever size project there is. Because again, we're like another 15 minutes into it and we still don't know what a $5,000 website is. So what does that entail? Am I billing them per hour? Is an agency getting requests and saying, oh, these dudes got tons of money, we're about to get rich? Or do they go, hey, we have a $200 an hour, scope, and we listed out all the different features we're going to be building, and this is what it's going to total out because we understand the whole entire process. And that's the value that you're giving them, because you're showing them that you understand it from top to bottom. Here's a bullet point list of everything and what it's going to actually cost. At that point, they can cherry pick out things if they don't really feel the need for something, and then you can educate them on why it's in there. But just blanketly saying that clients aren't smart enough to understand these things just seems like you're putting yourself at this higher level than what it actually is. If AI can build sites and any Joe Schmo can build sites, then what are you doing for the extra 4,500? If I can build a site in one day and it takes you 4 days to do the same thing, but they come out the same speed, they have all the search engine optimization and everything else that you would expect on the site, there's some content involved, some good imagery, and all that's done, where's the $4,500 coming from extra for that? Is it overhead for the agency? Is it I mean, what are you taking from the client and what are you giving back to them for that? Because I still don't get that.
Okay, Kevin, I'm going to let you answer that, but please, in this answer, please answer the question of what your definition of a $5,000, like, it's still really nuanced, I feel like, because everybody's going to kind of be different, but try to answer technically in your answer as well, what that actually looks like, just so we have some frame of reference from your perspective. But go ahead.
It can just be an overarching feature set. You know what I mean? Like there's certain functionality.
Hold on, Robert,
on the site.
Your audio is
we were getting a little buzzy there. Yeah.
It's
buzzing a little.
A robot.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second.
All right. While you fix that, I will. We'll discuss. So let's just start with the first step. The first step that we sell as part of the package is discovery. Our philosophy is, and this is usually starts at $1,500. So if we're talking about like, where does this cost even start to come from? Well, we're step one at a minimum, we're at $1,500 just to start out. And why is that? Our philosophy is that if we are going to build you a marketing asset that actually does what it purports to do, there's a lot of things that we need to know. We need to know a lot about your business. We need to know about how you operate. We need to know what your key sales points are. We need to know what differentiates you from your competition. We need to know what your competition is doing in the local area. We need to know what kind of SEO effort they're putting in. We need to know what kind of PPC effort they're putting in. We need to know what the copy is supposed to say. We need an offer. Because a lot of times the businesses at these levels, they're not coming to us with all of this stuff already mapped out. Oh yeah, we could just hand this over. We've got an expert team that's already done all this. We have to do the discovery. And so we can't just say, yeah, we can slap some copy on your site. We can slap some images on your site. In fact, you just give us the copy. Well, we know that business owners is probably the worst person to write the copy. They have no idea what they're doing in terms of copywriting. So we would prefer that actual professional copy gets shipped, right? So we have to know what all the points are that we're going to be talking about and how that's going to lead to the offer and what the conversion strategy is going to be. And then we need to make sure that the correct pipeline is in place for converting those leads when they actually arrive on the desk of the business, because we also know that if their sales team is not set up properly, or maybe it's just the solo entrepreneur trying to do everything, and maybe they're so busy, they're not on top of the calls, they don't get back to the leads in a certain amount of time, they are going to blame the failure on you, regardless of how much of it is their fault, right? And so we do due diligence on, hey, what is going to happen when these leads come in? How quickly are they going to get responded to? Do we know how to respond to them? And on and on and on. We want to make sure that the car is actually drivable, right? There's a lot of people who will say, well, that's different from the website. It's like if I was going to sell you a vehicle and you showed up and it didn't have wheels on it, I'd be like, well, the wheels, that's a separate concept. That's a separate thing. Like, they're buying a vehicle to get them to a destination. I got to make sure the vehicle is going to get them there. Okay. So we're doing due diligence. We're doing discovery. We're doing research. That costs money. Okay. It costs money just to get started with a client. Then we can get into, now there's a wireframing phase. Now there's a design phase. We want this to be unique to your brand. We want it to look good. We don't want it to look like a $500 website. We don't want it to look like AI did it. We don't want it to read like AI did it. And if you're okay with AI doing all of that, then just let AI do all of that, or go to Wix and get a template or whatever. We're not a good fit. And again, if the freelancers, I would say the freelancers and agencies that are entertaining this model down here, where it's like the quality that they're putting out is templated quality and AI copy quality, they're going to be gone in 18 months. It's just, we don't need you anymore. You're like, AI can literally do exactly what you're doing. Maybe not perfect now, but that's why I'm saying 18 months. You have 18 months to figure out what you're going to do, because it's not going to be this.
Okay, is the mic better now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. Sweet.
Okay, perfect. My bad. The heat kicked on. That was my bad. All right. So, I'm trying to figure out where to even unpack all this. So, what's a $5,000 website?
So here's the process I've outlined. We do discovery, we do wireframing, we do design, we do development, and then we launch the website. It doesn't include marketing. They have to have more for the marketing thing, right? And so you're looking at that's a one-page website, right? That gets you the first page. Now, the cost to do additional pages is significantly lower, because if we understand how website projects work, a lot of the work is front-loaded. There's a significant amount of effort that goes in getting to the first page, and then extending the site further is far cheaper than getting to that first page.
So for a one-page landing page with no super functionality other than some like lead form or something to get someone to click a button or anything on the page, that's $5,000 minimum, because there's 36 steps and 12 people involved, right? Like
Because you have to do your homework to do it the way that it's going to be effective. You have to do you can't just slap something together. You have to do your homework and you have to put it out into the world correctly so that then when you start the ad campaign, you start the PPC campaign, you start the social ad campaign, start whatever the strategy is, and you start driving traffic, the traffic arrives and they actually convert, right? That's
Right.
You got to set it up correctly.
Okay. So if a local business spends, say, $500 on a site, let's say I work $50 an hour. I do 10 hours worth of work, 2 hours of discovery, understanding who they are. And because I'm an actual good marketer and I understand these things, I can actually put together a 1-page landing page for them, solid, super fast. I charge them $500. They now have the extra $4,500 to go local and sponsor a softball team or sponsor some type of big marketing event or pay for some type of back to school event. And now they're changing their community with the money because I've given them a website and they're able to utilize that money for something else. They're able to slap their website on all the branding. The jerseys have their website on it. All the flyers and everything else that go out have that stuff on it. It doesn't necessarily mean every business is going to need PPC and SEO and all these extra things on top of it. And I think that, in my opinion, you're doing a disservice to the people that you're talking to in your community and telling them they can't do things for anything less than this because this is the value that you have to have. These people can't go into, so you could you, okay, let's reframe it then. Could you, in 10 hours, if you had a random website given to you or a random business given to you, could you effectively, since you feel that you're confident in this, create a 1-page landing page that would drive them some type of interaction from the people landing on it when they got there in 10 hours or less?
If the concept of this landing page that we're manifesting out of thin air, everybody makes this sound so magical, right? It's like so easy. We just whip this up and it's going to say the right things and it's going to convert and it's going to be fantastic. I mean, how many campaigns do we know where the landing page is launched, the ads are turned on, and everybody's scrambling like our money is getting lit on fire? Where are the conversions? And it's not working, right? And now it requires extra money to go in. This is why I say, like, you have to have more than the minimum, because it's not all just going to, like, it's not a magic wand. It's not just a faucet you turn on and everything's great, right? There is experimentation that has to be done. There's adjustments that have to be made. Somebody's got to review the analytics and look at what's going on and interpret those things. Like, there's more work that has to be done. So they have to have the budget to be able to do that. If you're framing it as, oh, well, you're going to take their $5,000, the only $5,000 they have, which now they can't afford jerseys and all this other stuff, that was not my argument. My argument was, go take the full $5,000 and put it into any number of other things, because whatever thing we can slap together for $500 is completely inconsequential. If we have to understand that you could give me, hey, Kevin, go start a cleaning business. Hey, Kevin, go start a this. Hey, Kevin, go start a that. I can get fully booked out without a website with a minimum amount of money. Okay, it comes down to, do you have a good model? Are you able to sell the model? Are you able to be an effective business person? You can do this in 2025 without a website at all. I'm saying a freelancer doesn't need to be involved in that $500 transaction. If they really, really, really think that's what they need to move the needle, click, Wix, done. Let them do it. I don't need to be involved in that process. I'm here for people who recognize I need shit that's higher level, that's actually going to work in this competitive area, and we've got money to spend. That's the area that I am advising freelancers and agencies to play in, because once again, that $500 thing, yeah, AI is not perfect. In 18 months, you'll be surprised. Click, AI's done it. Now, where, if you based your entire business on this low end model, where do you go now? And I'm warning people 18 months out, because it's going to take that full 18 months to start to figure out this pivot, okay, from what you're doing right now. You don't want to be scrambling 18 months from now saying, oh my gosh, I never saw this coming, right? All of the sites that I was doing for $1,000, nobody wants those anymore because it's click, done. That's going to be a very dangerous territory for a lot of people.
Okay, real quick points. One, you still didn't answer if you can build a site like that in 10 hours or less. Two, you're still talking in terms of fear. AI is going to take over. AI is going to take over. It doesn't matter. Don't take the money. Don't worry about it. In 18 months, all these people that are building these sites now are building their portfolio. They're building their skill set. They're understanding what they're doing, and they're able to grow. They're also able to to make money in the process, find out where they actually like to sit. And maybe that's not an agency. Maybe they don't want to scale their business to 26 employees and become an ultra CEO. How can a freelancer scale a $5,000 discovery call / single page website to 20 clients and make that work? Because there's a time limit involved for the freelancer if they're doing all this, and if the freelancer is doing all these things, how are they able to help other clients? And are you saying now that because you can get good discovery with one client, that's the only client you'll need? You need to be able to hook them in. They got to have tons of money, and there's got to be a way for you to milk that money for long term through all this content marketing. I'm going to write articles for you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to help you with your PPC campaigns, because now we're not talking about a website design no more. We're off again talking about something different. It's an agency. It's a marketing agency. What's the real definition of the $5,000 website? And could you build effectively a one-page landing page for a random business, just poof out of thin air? Someone maybe in the chat mentions the name of a business, and could you do that in 10 hours with your skill set? Could you do that effectively? Not even for 500. You could say 1,000. I'm going to charge $100 an hour, and in 10 hours, I'm going to give them a site that fully gives them everything they need to go forward and do what they need to do.
My skills are not required for the landing page. What I would put my time and effort into, which would cost more than $1,500 just in doing this, is the research and strategy to figure out what that landing page needs to say and offer. It could actually literally just be a sales letter. It doesn't even need a layout. It could literally just be text on a page. The words and the offer are far more important than anything else that is going on that page. And we've proven this time and time again, right? So if my mission is, Kevin, you've got 10 hours, well, I would spend 9 of those hours figuring out what the page is going to say and what the offer is going to be. And I'd spend the last hour going click, click, click. There it is, right? And if that's what they're paying for, then that's good. We're on the same page. But the next question is, now what? What are we going to... So let's say we publish that. So I do that work. We publish it. We wake up tomorrow. Well, what do we do? What do we do? Check our inbox. Where are the leads going to come from? Where's the traffic going to? We still have to find a way to drive the traffic so people can read the words that I wrote on the page. That requires more money, right? More money. If it doesn't work right out of the gate, it's going to require some changes. It's going to require rewriting. It's going to require additional effort. And so what I'm saying is, again, in that low budget realm, there are so many alternatives that I could spend my time and money on that are way more higher percentage opportunities with shorter potential runways, right? And businesses are proving this time and time again. Somebody brought up a restaurant to me. They're like, what about a restaurant? Restaurant's got to have a website. And again, it was like right off the top of my head. It was a great sushi spot right down the street from me. They have 976 5-star reviews. They have no website. They are packed at all times. Why? Because the game of a lot of these businesses, first of all, the number one game of business in general, if you have a location and you have a local business, location, location, location. And then it becomes a reputation game and a proximity game. It's a lot of different games before you get to, they have to have a website, because there are these local businesses that are just absolutely crushing. And then the website comes way later. They're like, somebody told us we had to check this box of a website. And then we look at it and it's like, yeah, they're getting traffic and they're getting conversions through the website. But look at where that's coming from. Number one, it was all there before the website even existed. And it's mostly all coming from offline activities and the reputation and everything else. And people just happen to find themselves on the website. It doesn't mean the website was super consequential to making this business successful. We have to go back to just business 101. I think a lot of web designers, especially in the lower tier, the less than 5,000 tier, have drank their own Kool-Aid, in the sense that you have to have a website. This website is so important to your business. It's going to do everything for your business. That's the sales pitch. We bought our own sales pitch, right? And if you look at real world results of local businesses that are killing it, the website is not super consequential to their results. It's all the other stuff they're doing. And it's just the fact that they're a great business and they're getting referrals and they're getting reviews and they're getting all this stuff. And the website is not really contributing all that much. And that's why they don't know their analytics. That's why they don't know how much traffic they're getting or how many leads they get through the website. If it was super consequential, they'd know their numbers. That's been my argument consistently.
Okay, so you can effectively, for $100 an hour, build a 10-hour landing page by sharpening your blade
I
for
can't do it
$9,
for
like
$100
we've
an
been
hour.
taught to. Okay, so you couldn't? Okay, well, so you're telling everybody else they shouldn't. All the people listening to you all around the world.
I'm telling them they shouldn't put their money and time in that activity. They should go when they can afford that activity, right? When they can afford that activity, they should definitely come do it. Before they can afford the activity, they should go do other things that are higher ROI, shorter runway activities.
Right. So a landscaping business that's super popular on Instagram, they throw a website up and say, subscribe to our newsletter. Now all their fans go to their website and get their newsletter. That's super effective. It helps them. It's super easy for them to point to one spot. Go to this page.
Hold on, your mic is doing the thing again.
Yeah.
Okay, so
maybe it sounds like interference. Is it too close
yeah.
to maybe the cable's too close? Is it like is your phone near it by chance? Is it an XLR phone near it?
It might have been. Is that better?
I bet you.
That's better. Okay.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So I lost.
You were talking about the landscaping company and the newsletter.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you. So if I can effectively, as a skilled developer anywhere in the world, say I'm gonna charge this person $100 an hour. I'm gonna understand their needs. They're super popular online. They want to retain that group beyond YouTube or beyond Instagram. I'm going to send them and set them up with a newsletter. You can use any active campaign, MailChimp, whatever. And you set it up and you build them a nice little landing page. Doesn't even have to have a design. It can just be text all the way down. Doesn't even need to be that. It could just be a box with a newsletter with a cool design with their logo. And it looks like their brand. And then when people click it, they go, yes, this is their brand. I'm going to go ahead and sign up for $100 an hour. In 10 hours, I've effectively made them something that's going to drive their business. And they don't need anything from me beyond that for pay-per-click or anything else. We still keep talking about all the extras. So are we building an agency? Are we freelancers? Are we one-person shops or are we teams? There's a gap a little bit, I think, in what we're actually talking about. Because as a freelancer, anybody turning down $62.50 an hour and up for a project is drinking someone else's Kool-Aid.
So I just think about it differently, because here's what the actual plan would look like. It wouldn't be I'm going to build a landing page for them so that they can send people there and it's got their colors and logo and people are going to sign up for their newsletter. And to me, that is 2010. I don't know anybody that's signing up for the newsletter of a landscaping company, right? Now, if there's a very specific offer on that landing page that is super juicy and enticing, for sure. But once again, that website is inconsequential to their ability to get those contracts. They are already getting the attention. The magic is happening on TikTok for them. They can get the contracts. And when they're fully booked out with all these contracts, they're going to come to me and they're going to say, hey, we got some money now. What is our next step? And I would say, okay, we can go 2 routes and I'll give you both routes, but I'll tell you the route that I would take if it was my business. You can go let's build out a website that has the architecture and the amount of content and the amount of pages that we need to have to start attacking the SEO side of this, because there are opportunities that we found in the discovery that you paid for, right? Because we did our homework and we did our research. We know there are SEO opportunities. There is an SEO play on the table. We can go that route. It's going to be more costly. Or we can build a smaller site, what amounts to a brochure site, but with PPC landing pages and a really juicy offer. And then we will set up the PPC campaigns to run it to that. And that's actually what's going to scale that business. Again, if they want to scale. But it would not be, I don't see the solution ever being, we need a landing page. We have to have a landing page. It's like, the whole point of this is discovery. The whole point of this is, and in this word discovery, I'm talking about the business getting discovered by potential customers in this context, okay? Marketing is, how do we produce that discovery? How do we get people to know we exist and offer what we offer? If the answer is you need a landing page, I would say no, that is not a high ROI, instant payoff activity. There are a gazillion high ROI instant payoff activities that you can do. That is probably not one of them, okay? When you have the money And some businesses come to us and just say, we already have the money. Hey, we're a startup, but I happen to have this other business and I sold it. And this has happened multiple times. Like they'll say and this is why I get on the call with them too and have the 15-minute conversation. But they get on the call. Oh no, I've had 3, 4, or 5 businesses, sold them. I got millions of dollars in the bank. Like we're ready to rock and roll, bub. Okay, fantastic. And now I know also, by the way, I'm working with a previous business owner. Like this is going to be fantastic. This is green flags all the way down. Okay. Like the idea that the solution, and if it's an outlier where the solution really, really, really is, they got to have a landing page. They got to have a landing page. We have to fall back to my other argument. You don't need an expert for that now. Okay. If you already got the attention and all you need is the facilitation of filling out a contact form, Wix, Squarespace, AI, let them do it. They don't need you. You don't need to be the middleman in that transaction.
Go ahead, Robert.
It's weird that you're saying that a client is too unintelligent to give you the copy and information they need for their website to effectively do it. But now you're saying that they should just and can just go do it themselves. You're still not telling me, are we talking about freelancers or agencies?
I didn't say they were unintelligent. I said they're not good copywriters. There's two very, very, copywriting is an expertise and a skill. And they don't have that skill. They have whatever skill is required to do their business, but that doesn't make them a copywriter. And that doesn't make them the best person to write the copy. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It just has to do with experience and skill. So that's like a super important point to make on that.
So well, quick question, quick rule there though, because I think this is completely with you guys I think we end up needing to touch on the AI thing because I do think that's going to possibly disrupt that a little bit. I mean, if you just type in, give me great copy into Claude or ChatGPT, maybe you need to go a little bit better. But I mean, the things that I'm seeing, and I know Robert, I want to bring this to Robert because I know he's heavily into the AI space. Like it can do some pretty incredible things. And I think this kind of proves a little bit of kind of both of your stances, but ultimately, how do you see that like moving forward? Because I think that's going to disrupt the whole thing. So I don't know, Robert, go ahead with your point there. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Oh no, you're good. I think it's 2 points actually. I think one, the content marketing side of it is definitely going to become easier and easier. You give the right prompt to the right AI and you're going to get stuff that no one even realizes has been written by AI. And then a smart and intelligent person can reread that, make a few edits, and now it looks proper. And you're going to read that and you're going to go, wow, this is nice. A smart person could do that. I'm still feeling like we're talking about people like they're not intelligent enough to be able to do that. And I don't understand why we're still saying a web designer should be doing copywriting. Shouldn't you be working and maybe giving referrals to someone who's an expert freelance copywriter? You could, pass them some jobs. They pass you some web development jobs back. You're working together. Robert, you're building some.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. I've never said a web designer should be a copywriter unless they have previous copywriting experience and skill. They should refer to a professional copywriter. And in order to do that, the client is going to need money. That's the whole point. That's the entire point. If this is going to be done right, you got to have something in the wallet. They're not charity. We're not sending them to charity organizations. There's no copywriting charity that they can go to. If I have to refer them to an actual copywriter to get this done right, they're going to need the money, right? And so we're also, again, back to, I've given the advice to agencies and freelancers. You cannot just be, this is 2010 era thinking, a web designer. You can't do that. Businesses are coming to you for a vehicle to get them from point A to point B. If you can give them a car, but it has no wheels, it doesn't do them any good. Especially if you're like, well, I can get you the car part, like most of it. I can get you most of it for $2,500. And you've just soaked up some of their limited budget. And then they go, well, hold on, where are the wheels? And they go, well, I got to ship you over here to this guy. Okay. He's going to put those on for it. Like now they're like, well, I thought I was getting like this vehicle to go from point A to point B. That's really what they want. Right. Again, haven't we all said this time and time again? We're not in the business of selling websites. We're in the business of selling results. We're in the business of selling leads and sales and funnels and things like that. That's what the business actually wants. The website just facilitates that. So that all has to be considered in the price point.
Well, real quick though, Robert, do you agree with that sentiment, that last part, or no?
I think that
sounds like you're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I think a great web designer can learn the copywriting. You've done websites enough. You've seen enough great copywriting to kind of get a gauge of it. You use AI, and within an hour, you have a landing page that will definitely grab the user's attention. You can use all the sales marketing tactics you want to. You can instill fear. You can make yourself positioned as the only savior, and then you can provide them the result right here. Just click this button, buy this course, do this thing. You can do that. That's not hard. And if we're close to where the stream's going to open up, and I'm personally wondering if there's anybody has a fictitious business idea that they'd like to see built in a 10-hour time span. And I'm pretty sure that whatever I build over whatever Kevin can build in that time frame would be leaps and bounds better than whatever he's describing as the bare minimum a website needs to be, when they also don't even need a website because they have social media, but they don't need a newsletter to retain it. Marketing is getting the attention. The newsletters and the sales process is where you keep it. And there's a disconnect. You're talking marketing. So you're talking agency work now. We're not talking freelancers no more. Are we talking freelancers that can do everything all at once?
Okay. Let's talk real world. Real world is, let's say we set up, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Let's say we set up a landing page with a newsletter for this example landscaping company. And we're going to drive people from TikTok to the landing page, and we're going to get them to sign up for the newsletter. Well, guess what? That business owner who's not a copywriter, Robert, is also not an email marketer. And what they're going to do is they're going to fire up MailChimp, and they're going to grab this super generic, like looks like an ad email template, and they're going to fill it out with some bullshit, and they're going to send it to their list, and it's going to be absolute crickets because people just filter that stuff out. That's not email strategy. We can go back. That's like 2008 email strategy. Okay. Can't be doing email marketing like that. So are we going to now train the person on how to do the email marketing part? And are we going to do that for free? Is that going to be the part of the charity work that we're doing? They're not going to put it to use. And then, because you know how many clients I've talked to where it's like, do you guys have an email list? Oh, well, I think we do. Who's it with? When's the last time you logged in, Frank? Right? And then we get in there and it's like, oh, well, they haven't sent an email in the past year. And then you ask them, what? Well, it wasn't really working all that much. We weren't really getting any emails or they don't even know what to do with the thing. Okay. That is in the real world, what is highly likely to happen with these small businesses. They don't know what they're doing in digital. They just don't.
I agree on that 100%. And I believe that you're touching on the point, but you're not actually making it. Who is doing all of that? Is it the freelance web designer? Is it the agency that is a single person or a two-person team? Is the freelancer now required to now say, I have to do the copywriting because they don't have it, or I have to do their newsletter list for them?
No.
Or do you have contacts that you can pass them to and say, this person over here is phenomenal. They're going to do way better than I could.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the $5,000 website for?
So we either have people on the team who are capable of doing the work and knowledgeable enough, or we refer them out. But my job is to know all of the necessary pieces that need to be in place and what is required and who is going to do them. And in my mind, I know what that costs. So we start to say, hey, what's your budget? And they go $3,500. And I do some quick calculations. That's not going to work. Okay. And so what we have to look for is, what can you do with your time and your current budget? There are so many activities available to you. These are not them. This game, to play this game, it's like going to Vegas and it's like, hey, I see you arrived in Vegas. How much money is in your pocket? I got $15. Well, it's going to be a short trip to Vegas, isn't it? Like, there's not enough bandwidth there. We know what money is required to play these games. And I'm not saying, let me take the money and I'll just try to. Nope. I'm saying, don't spend the money here. Go spend the money and time elsewhere. And then when your business is bigger and you have more of a budget, now you come and we'll play this game. Okay. It's just a matter of priorities and saying, hey, these are your marketing assets that are available for you to build and set up and deploy. This one is not really within your budget, but all these are. I would go after all of these right here. And then we can really scale when it's time to, when you have this budget over here. It's really just a matter of shuffling around resources.
Yeah. I feel like we're still dancing around it. So it's an agency we're building. It
It doesn't matter. It could be a freelancer. So if a freelancer, and the number you have to just choose a number. You have to choose a number. And some agents are going to say we don't touch anything under 10,000 because of the way that we do work and the projects that we do work for. So let's say you are a web designer and that's all you do. Okay, and you're going to talk to somebody about building a landing page, and let's say your number is $1,500 or whatever, and you ask them, hey, do you have the money for PPC? Do you have a plan in place to drive traffic to this website? Is there a conversion strategy? And they go, no. Then you can't take their $1,500. You can't do that deal. You have to know that they're going to be able to get to where they're hoping to go before anybody takes any money. Now, if they say, oh, of course, well, I got a copywriter over here and I got a PPC guy and we already got an offer in place. We just need you to build the landing page. Bing, bang, boom. Here you go. Right. But it is my job to do the due diligence of, is this thing going to actually do what you're hoping for it to do before anybody takes any money here? I think that is a very responsible approach.
Okay. I want to jump in here for a quick second. We do have a couple individuals down in the green room that want to speak, I'm assuming. So we're going to jump into that in a second. I do want to quickly make a quick point though, because I've been monitoring the chat. Everybody has incredible insights. Appreciate all you guys. There is a piece of this that is we've been talking about it a lot, and it makes sense to, a majority or a percentage of the audience, but the other percentage, like non-US, it's totally different. Real quick, Robert, have you always pretty much been in the US and dealt with like US, we'll call it like currency and like lifestyle of living? Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, I've lived in the US my whole life. I've worked with clients around the world though.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's an important distinction that we do need to make, that unfortunately I don't think any of us really have that perspective to give. So maybe we could do future episodes on that. But I know you guys, a lot of you are international. So you got to take a little bit of this with a grain of salt. But if it helps, maybe in the chat, tell us like what you think your 5,000 USD is, not like what it exchanges to, but like in your neck of the woods, like what do you feel like your low end is, or like have a conversation around that? Because I know it's very different in different parts of the world. So we'll table that for later, because again, I don't think we have the perspectives on it.
Yeah, you also have to have the understanding that the SEO context can be different. The PPC context can be different in these areas. A lot of things can be different in these areas. So you take the larger arguments, right? And then you simply apply them to the situation that you happen to be doing work in and the market that you happen to be doing work in. So the numbers may shift around, but the point still stands. Do you want to be in the race to the bottom? Do you want to be very, very in the target of AI? Because again, I think when I see a $500 website, and I know you think this is fear, Robert, I know you think this is fear, but I've looked at $500 landing pages. They look like AI. They read like AI. So did the $500 really need to be done? Now, if you say, well, they need better than that. Kevin, can you produce better? Yes, I can produce better than that, but it's not going to be $500. So like one of those things has to give. It's not a skill. Okay. So the best copywriters who write professional sales letters, who charge $50,000 for a sales letter. First of all, you have to understand it's relative. It's relative. If you're just going to say all of those people are crazy, all of those people are hustlers, all of those people are con artists, that's wild that you're going to write off an entire industry with that kind of assertion. Here's the thing that they understand. When they write a $50,000 sales letter for a multi-million-dollar company, that sales letter is going to be producing multi-millions of dollars. And that $50,000 is inconsequential to that company, right? That's what they understand, value-based pricing. They also understand the risk involved of working with a company of that size. If you take over an e-com, and this, by the way, is why big companies target expensive agencies. They do not want a cheap agency doing their work because the risk of failure is far too high. And so all of this stuff is completely relative. You cannot just write them off. Oh, well, I would never charge that, so that's insane, right? So if that's not your argument, you're welcome to correct it. I hope it's not your argument.
No. If I'm helping a business and I help them with an ad campaign and it helps return 10 times their money, and we worked out a deal before that says I get like 1 times their money for it because I did 10, I get 10% of that on the back end. I'm comfortable with that because I help move the needle for them that far. That's not a website design. We're talking about something agency level now. We're talking about 20 people doing 50 things, and how many months does a $40,000 website project take? You do 10 different ones for 4K a piece, and you're getting just the same quality with a lot less headache, and you have 10 different clients to work with on the back end. I'm failing to see what we're still talking about here. I know value-based pricing.
We're still talking to agencies and freelancers who I am telling a $50,000 sales letter, who's going to build the landing page? We don't need you. We don't need you. Click, 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 done. The sales letter is doing the work. Okay. When somebody comes to a website agency in 2025, they are expecting to walk in the door and get on the phone and say, hey, here's our business. We don't have enough leads. We don't have enough sales. We're not doing enough with digital. We really need to know what we should do. And you can't be like, well, I mean, I can design you a pretty website. I don't really know what to tell you beyond that. You're probably going to have to go hire some. But here's like, if the marketers actually get involved, right? Or a UX person actually gets involved, like there's a lot of pieces that have to fit together, right? If the strategy is going to be TikTok to a landing page, that's completely different from if we're going to go after SEO, which is also completely different from if we're going to go after PPC. So I don't even know what to build until I know what the marketing strategy is. Like if you tell me the marketing strategy is PPC, then I'm setting up a template that we can go campaign, 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 campaign. That's the architecture I'm building. And then we're going to focus heavily on copy. But I want to be involved in that. And if I'm a smart agency or freelancer, I don't want to be the guy that's just doing the low level, bare minimum amount of work and then handing it off to all these other experts who are filling in the actual pieces of consequence. Because like I just said, within 18 months, you are not needed for that. You are not needed for that. What experts in the web design space are going to be needed for are custom designs, which cost money, and custom websites that are architected for scale. For real businesses who want to build something of consequence and go dominate a space in digital. That's what professionals are needed for. A landing page that's click, click, click. There's all the copy. And by the way, all the funnel is coming from stuff we're doing offline. The website's not even of consequence to getting traffic. We don't need you for that. I don't know why experts think they're needed for that or why anybody wants to play in that niche. That niche is about to get deleted.
Blogging's dead. I got you. It's so a lot to unpack. So I'm still not sure. So you're selling value-based pricing. You're telling everybody now that you can't tell someone that this is going to cost this much. You're telling these people right now that they're not smart enough to do some of these basic things with the help of AI because the intelligent people are using AI. They're learning AI. They're understanding it and learning how to maximize it. If you're telling those people in 18 months, the AI itself is going to outpace them and their ability to use it and utilize it in ways to benefit in 10 times their own business, you're delusional. That's not something that you should be telling these people. You're fearing them into saying this is no longer a need. Now, what you're going to have is all these freelancers and people who aren't set and ready to produce this agency level work with this scope of work and the discovery calls and all these different things. They're not prepped and ready for that. Now, all these people are going to be going and fighting for the $40,000 jobs at the agency level. And that's going to become a crowded space, and they're going to get priced out and they're going to get bumped out by everybody that's already been there because they don't have the tools and the resources to actually grow in that space the way that they should, because they weren't even supposed to be there in the first place. They should have been happy making $100 an hour or more, doing a few things with a couple buddies, passing projects back and forth, and actually being able to have a lifestyle business and go hang out at the beach whenever they want or do whatever they want to do. They don't have to grow and scale. The plumbing business doesn't want to grow. The viral TikTokers, what are they growing to? What are they scaling and now grabbing like 36 more employees and dominating other markets? Because now you're not a web designer at all. You're a strategist and a marketer and an ad agency, and you're all these things bundled into one. How are you telling a freelancer that that's the only way that they're going to grow now?
Okay, so this is just a simple question for you that I think should make it clear to everybody. If I visit a website and it looks like a $500 website, but it looks like, okay, did AI do this? AI could have done it. maybe a freelancer did it. I'm not quite sure. I start reading the copy and I say, maybe a freelancer wrote this, but it kind of sounds like AI. I'm not really sure. And then it's revealed. Okay. Does it even matter what the answer is? If it was AI or if it was a freelancer, why didn't they just use AI? I couldn't tell. If I can't tell, then why does the answer even matter? And then if the answer is a freelancer, the obvious question is why? Why did they need to exist in this transaction when I couldn't even tell the difference between their work and AI? That would be should be the obvious question. So if again, I go back to, we don't need you for that. Now, if you're going to produce obviously quality above AI, which by the way, okay, what is the AI quality worth? Okay. If you're telling me, hey, I consistently do my homework and produce stuff that is above AI quality, I would be like, why are you doing it for $500? Or are you a charity? Are you a .org? What is your, is this just your mission in life? Or are you actually trying to build a business with a respectable paycheck, right? One of those things doesn't compute.
If I do, first of all, you're saying AI is going to produce the same quality as these low-level freelancers. So the only way that they can beat AI is to level up and become an agency and do 20 other things.
Absolutely,
the AI is going to actively replace.
I've been telling them they have to level up. If they are doing AI level work, there's no need for them. We don't need them anymore.
Who said they were doing AI level work? You're describing it as that.
No,
you're describing. Yes, that's a skill issue. That's a skill issue. That's not an AI issue. A skilled developer and freelancer. It's a skill issue.
Do we have an epidemic of gorgeous websites with high grade copy and high conversion rates in the local business niche? Or do we have an epidemic of fairly shitty websites of low consequence and they don't even know their traffic or conversion numbers? I think we know what the epidemic is. The epidemic is not of high quality work output, right? And if it was, they would want to pay a lot more for it because it would be doing gangbusters for their website, right? Half the job that these poor freelancers are spending on the phone is convincing somebody that this website's actually going to do something because the last 3 versions of it hasn't done a damn thing. That's the game that half these people are playing.
Yes. And in 10 hours for $100 an hour, I could crush it. I mean, what is it's a skill issue. You're describing a skill issue. Random people using AI are not going to be able to beat somebody with 15 to 20 years experience using AI. And you are delusional if you think that. You're telling these people fear, panic, epidemic, pandemic. What in the world?
Everybody that watches, I've done this live stream. It used to be weekly. It's now every other week. It's called WDD Live. And one of the concepts of it was we pull up websites and we look at them and people submit them. Often we pull up random local business websites and we go through them and people will tell you time and time again, if we just did a poll, what is the average grade of these websites? It's not high. And they're the same problems, the same issues, the same bad copy, the same bad everything over and over and over and over again. There's hundreds of hours of these live streams. If people want real examples of what's going on in the real world, there's plenty of them to find. We can pull up Google right now and go down I just did it yesterday in a live stream. Let's go look at the local sites of what they're doing. And by the way, in the top 10, you're going to see 7 directories and 3 websites. And those 3 websites are always high money websites with tons of pages, tons of copy, obviously thousands and thousands of dollars of SEO and PPC running. That's why they're in the top spots, because it's not 2010 anymore. It is a money game now. Google has completely shifted the landscape. They prefer lists, they prefer directories, and then the only people who fit in other than ads, the only people who fit in otherwise are in local, in the map pack, because they have an awesome business and they've earned 400 5-star reviews and Google's like, you deserve to be here, okay? Or in the bottom listings, the top 10, it's the people with lots and lots of money, paying experts to put them there. And you cannot beat them with a new business with no budget and a new domain anytime soon. You're never going to get, this is not 2010. You used to be able to do that. Can't do it now, right? That is the world we have to accept the reality of the world that we are currently living in.
Skill issue. I put out
Okay.
one post on my blog about a Blue Sky plugin, and now I'm the #1 result when everyone searches for Blue Sky WordPress plugin. Took me like 30 minutes with AI, and that's including prepping and reviewing the content and putting the publishing on it and sending it out there.
How
and
many,
now I'm #1.
How many Blue Sky
It's not that
plugins?
hard.
How many Blue Sky plugins are there?
How many people are searching for it? Who gives a shit how many are out there? How many people
Because
are
you
actually actively looking for it? I got the #1 result.
You
People
can get
find me.
You can get the #1 result for any random keyword that doesn't have any volume or competition. Nobody's disputing that. This is the first rule of SEO. The first rule of SEO is it doesn't matter what we're
Long
ranking
tail.
for.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we're ranking for if nobody's searching for the term that we're ranking for.
Skill issue.
Real
Everybody's
quick,
searching for the term I'm ranking for. What are you talking? I just told you.
Real quick. We do have to go to the viewers waiting
let's get some of
patiently
these.
here.
There's a bunch of people.
But real quick, Robert, can you, because there's some questions in the chat, can you define what you mean holistically by skill issue? Like
skill issue. He's saying that a freelancer can't build a proper website that looks great, reads well, and does its job without the help of 12 other employees and 16 discovery calls and a few other different things that he's piling on that. It's agency life. That's agency life. You got all these hoops you got to jump through. You got to push one button to trigger 4 other things before something else gets done. That's agency life. Who are we talking to here? Are we talking to people that are getting priced out? You're now telling effectively also, by the way, that everybody that has a shitty website with nothing good on it, they're priced out of the world now. A good developer that can do it in 10 hours and make $1,000 anywhere around the world, US, anywhere around the world, 10 hours. They can do that, give them a great website with amazing copy and provide them what they need to do. And it changes what the websites look like out there when you're looking at these websites. You're not seeing trash as much because you haven't forgot about them. You're moving on up. Is that what this is? This is a level up game, a lifestyle that you can grow into and become a multi-millionaire with? Or what's the goal? We're talking about a bunch of different stuff, but there's
I outlined the goal. The goal is, and look, if there are freelancers and agencies that are listening to this and they're like, I'm playing in this niche and I love my life and I love the money that I'm making and I love being location independent, that is totally fine. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I said in the beginning, I outlined very clearly, there is an epidemic of freelancers and small agencies who are living project to project, and they are stuck in a depressing cycle and they can't figure out how to get out of it. And it's just like living paycheck to paycheck, and it's just like a rat race, and they want out of it. And I'm telling them, this is how you get out. And I'm also telling people, by the way, even if you're comfortable right now, you can call it fear, you can call it whatever you want. I don't think you're going to be as comfortable in 18 months. And 18 months is not the time to figure out how to get comfortable again, because it's too late.
18 months is just enough time to level up and grow beyond your and stuff.
You got your mic again.
We got buzzing against the phone. I don't know if the phone.
Should we bring on who is in here first, Mark?
I think it's Tara. Can you give me a nod, Tara, if you're ready to go? Cool. And real quick, guys, we'll bring you on one at a time. If you don't want to have your camera on, you don't have to. We'll just hear you and it'll be all good. So you can turn your camera off if you don't want to. And yeah, we'll just give you a little bit of time and happy to chat with you here. So Tara, what's up?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
A little loud, but yeah, you're good.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So Kevin, I recently discovered your content and it completely.
Oh, Mark. I was about to get a testimonial, Mark.
Bro, I didn't do it.
Play the screen.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah. Right.
You cut out for a minute, Tara. Go ahead.
You're cut out, but you're good. You're good.
Okay. All right. No, I was saying your content completely opened my eyes to how I could make more as a freelancer, because I am in exactly that position you were talking about. But I am at this crossroads where I'm not entirely sure if I should be moving in that more high-end agency or high-end freelancer model, or if there are other options for like getting out of that paycheck to paycheck low $500 model. And one thing I've been looking at is possibly like productized services, I hear a lot, or building products. because I have a niche that I would love to get more into, which is indie authors. And it's like this very micro niche. It's only like a subset of authors. I know like everything about them really well, and I feel like I could build something for them that significantly cuts down on my time, and I can offer things that they cannot find from like a typical designer right now. Like they have tons of books. They hate AI, by the way, and they don't like doing things themselves at all a lot of the time. So they have all these books. They don't know how to filter them. They don't know how to handle their huge backlogs. And I'm like, I could build something with bricks and ACF and make it beautiful and mostly just like clone this site and build it the way these authors generally need, because I know what they need. I know what their readers need. And I'm wondering if that's a possible direction to go in for like making more money per hour without charging a ton of money for a website.
So where are you right now? Like $500, $1,000? What are you doing projects for currently?
Right now, it's generally ranging between 2,000 and 4,500. And I just started with bricks. Like I moved from Divi to bricks, and I'm just starting with ACF and all that. So that's a very recent bump.
Okay. And how have you done any for the indie author like concept yet?
Yes, I just got like a perfect person for this sub niche who's a bestseller. Yeah.
And she's a bestseller. Okay. So that was the first thing I was going to ask, like the average indie author, do they have the money? Are they wanting to invest the money, or are they broke? Like, what is the situation here?
Usually they're broke. A lot of them will start out, they don't have many books. They don't need this system yet. So I would love to catch some of them early on my system. And as they build more books, they keep coming back
100%,
to me to upgrade.
100%. Well, I see this immediately when if you answered me no, like they're doing amazing, they got money, they have this problem that they want to solve, right? You're describing the problem that they have and the solution to the problem. I think that you just have to have a little shift in thinking, that you're not going to try to do one-to-one relationships and contracts. You're going to build a system, and then you are just going to sell them access to the system, right? And in this case, it just sounds like it would be a templated kind of website thing, because they're going to walk in the door and be like, I don't have the budget for you to build me something custom, right? So it's cool. I am in your niche. I know what you need. I already built the solution to it. Here's how much it costs to simply deploy an instance of it, right? And they can't have a lot of opinions about like, well, it's got to look exactly like this. And no, that's not how this works, right? So you're going to build the solution to what they actually need, and then you're going to sell it as a product to many, many, many of them, right?
Right.
That's the route I would go.
Awesome. And one follow-up question, if I may. There are certain authors who are bestsellers and they have the money for more of those bespoke, at least 5,000 and up websites. Is there a way, or is it like splitting my energy too much to have the productized system?
No.
And also,
All right, you should absolutely, yes. You want to build what's called a value ladder. Okay. So the bottom of your value ladder, well, actually the real bottom of your value ladder is whatever value you're able to give to that group, to that niche for free, that gets their attention, gives them value, gets them involved in what you do, describing the problem, describing the solution, things like that. And then the first tier of an actual offer is access to that system, a deployed instance of that thing, right? And then you also have the high level version of that, which is you are going to attract some people who are much more successful and have more money and want a custom solution. And you say, exactly. So we bring you off over here and we do the custom thing for you, right? And so people can pick where they fit. They come into your community like, I don't have the budget. Cool. I go to this level. Oh, I have the budget. I get the custom thing. And you're serving all of it.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that clarifies things a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Best of luck. See ya. Oops. Okay. Real quick, because we got some interesting comments on that. Kudos to Tara, not sure how the pronunciation is, but kudos to her. Robert, I want to ask you a question based off of that there, because we got some questions in the chat. We got people that were wondering specifically. This is really cool to see this live. As she was giving her rundown, everything, Kevin was giving the productized thing. Does that, based on everything we've talked about here, Robert, was that at all like, how do you think about that? Was there, I think we missed this part of it. We were talking, I feel like the whole time about custom website design, essentially, right? Like we're building it. That was a different approach. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's the smarter approach long term, is to give different tiers to different people. Kevin's initial tweet was to go ahead and just tell people they don't have 5K for a website, they don't have a business, stop doing sites for under 5K. These are all valid reasons to keep doing that. You have options and availability to do those things, and then you can upsell them into another funnel that you have. If you have other skill sets or other things that you can offer them, then again, we're not talking about the website no more. We're talking about the upsells and the extras. I don't have the real definition of what this conversation was even supposed to technically be about. A $5,000 website, still, it's discovery and all these extra things, and then there's this SEO backend and all this other stuff. I'm still lost a little bit on that, I guess, in all of this, because he just basically said that you should do that, but in his original message it was you shouldn't. So
rebuttal, Kevin?
So to be clear, the custom websites would be in the greater than 5,000 arena, right? What we were selling them at the low level, her productized offer is a product, kind of like if I sell a software product, right? I am able to produce one thing that applies to many. Now, if that's what an agency or freelancer is doing, then so be it, right? The problem with that is, here's the thing in the website space, like SEO agencies know this. So you can't, and it's always context. She said, I have a hyper-focused niche. So if you're going to say let's say I hyper-focus on landscaping companies, and I'm going to promise I have a templated solution for landscaping companies. And what I'm going to say is we're going to get you ranking on Google, and we're going to do it super cheap because we have this system. We just deploy it for you and yada, yada, yada. Well, I can only deploy 4 of those and fulfill my promise before there ain't any spots left on Google. Because again, 6 of the spots in 2025 are taken by Yelp and directory listings. And then there's 3 or 4 spots left. So I got 3, 4 people that I did that job for. See, she didn't come to me and say, like, these are local businesses. They're trying to rank on Google. They're trying to do that. Like, no, it's a different context, a completely different context. And by the way, I still think she should, again, have a consulting level where she's going to come in. Yeah, we're going to deploy this instance. But again, telling people the truth of, we can deploy that. Nobody's going to come to it, right? So let's have a discussion about what is this actually going to do for you as an indie author? What is the next step? What's the layer we're going to bake in? And so I will go back real quick to one talking point that I've said repeatedly that my audience knows time and time again. You have to be a consultant and not a pixel pusher. If all you do is push pixels around a screen, you are no longer needed. What we need are consultants to put pieces together so that in these people's mind, I don't know what I'm doing in digital. I don't know how to make all this stuff work. I don't know how to get results. Let me put the pieces together for you. And there is tremendous value in putting those pieces together. And then I'm assuming you're also going to step in and physically put those pieces together. But the strategy comes first. The consultancy, there are people that are just consultants and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just to put pieces together in people's minds and businesses' minds so they understand what they're supposed to be doing, right? There is value in all of that. If you're suggesting that a freelancer or an agency should literally just push pixels around a screen, cash a $500 check, and I know you're saying no, you're shaking your head no, but if you're doing any work at the $500, I don't know where the bandwidth is to do the rest, and you're going to say skill issue, and I'm just going to say you're a charity. I mean, you're doing the Lord's work, Robert, okay? And I applaud you for that. I would like to see you make more, though, Robert. I want to see you make more because you are claiming you're worth more.
Yeah, here's the thing. If I feel like $100 an hour is more worth my time because it's almost double what a senior web engineer makes in this space. And I can do it on my own time, sitting on my couch watching TV, and no one's telling me what to do. I don't got a checklist or a stand up or anything like that to do. I'm able to do what I want at that point. It's a lifestyle business. You're talking about an agency and upselling and making a landscaping business turn into a conglomerate that goes state to state. What are they going to upscale to if they've already maxed out everything? They've maxed it out. What are they going to upscale to? More employees, more overhead.
No, they don't have to. That's not required. It's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. Here's what I would ask. Again, thinking about clients and small businesses, here's what I would ask them. Do you want a provider that is essentially going to tell you, and this is why, like when we were doing agency contracts, like the close rate is astronomical when you talk to business owners like this. They literally get the feeling that, okay, my choice is between, I got these other agencies that are fighting for my contract or whatever that I've been in contact with. But I've got this guy right here who's literally like, hasn't really worried about any of the technical side of any of this. He's asked me all of the appropriate questions about my business, questions I didn't even know I was supposed to be asking and thinking about. He's laid reality out on the table for me saying, look, if you're doing anything of this, it's just not going to work. You're going to need more money than that. He's being honest with me, right? And then I'm letting them know that once they do sign a contract, once we are doing a thing, like it's treating it like it's my own business. I'm going to give you the same advice I would give to my brother-in-law or my sister or my mother. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to be with you the entire, this is not a relationship where we're going to go bing, bang, boom and ship you off and say, good luck. No business wants that because they know they're rudderless. Like once you ship them, they don't know what to do. And it's just going to sit there and it's not going to do anything. If they know somebody is sticking around that's going to have their back to guide the ship, right? Not in just the sense of, oh, we're just going to do maintenance. Okay, yeah, sign this contract. We're going to do a maintenance plan. They don't need maintenance. They don't need maintenance on a site that ain't doing anything. What they need is somebody driving the ship in terms of marketing. We have to go back to the initial concept that website is a marketing asset. Everybody that does web design, it should be a marketer. You're in the marketing game. You are building a marketing asset, and that asset will sit there and do nothing if the other pieces don't plug into it properly. And somebody's got to facilitate that. Who's facilitating it? If it's not you, it's another expert. Guess where the money's going? Them, not you. If all you're doing is pushing the pixels and somebody else is driving the ship, it's going to the pilot. That's where the money is going. Okay. It could go to you, but you got to step up and fulfill that position.
I mean, you play your part, you do what you're supposed to do, and you pass it off to another expert. They do their part. Could they do theirs as effectively if I didn't hand them off an amazing website that looks great and has all the structured pieces in place to do the ABC selling down to the bottom and get that reaction that you're looking for? They can't do it as well if I don't give them what they want. So it's not a one-off. You can't just say this person is more important than the other. There's some symbiotic relationship between the two, I think. And a smart freelancer, a smart developer, a smart designer, they're going to learn some other things along the way, and they're going to be able to productize their services. They're going to be able to utilize AI. I can go right now, give a topic to AI and say, hey, I want a course on this. Give me 50 blog topics. It'll give them to me in a structured format. I turn that into a JSON file. 5 minutes later, I have an AI script running through and writing all that content for me. Another 10 minutes later, I go through and spend an hour reviewing it, updating it, throwing some images in. 3 hours later, you got a site with a whole course. And it's well put together, it's well structured because I'm smart enough to know what marketing is and I understand how advertising works.
Sorry, what are those blog posts
going to do? Emotions.
What are those blog posts going to do?
They're going to sell it's a course. I'm saying as an example, I can create a course using AI for this. As a skilled designer, I can go in and use the AI that's supposed to overtake my job, and I can use it to then benefit my job. There's lots of disconnect in what you're saying, Kevin.
Is there a lot of demand for courses created with AI?
There's a lot of demand for courses.
Your mic is messed up again.
A little buzzy.
Sorry, I was under the impression that people bought courses for like the expertise that is in them, not AI spun through a JSON file.
It could be blog topics on any type of content marketing.
You were writing content marketing. AI blogs are not going to rank.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, of course not. A skilled writer that actually updates that content and makes it look good and feel good and gives all the internal linking that you need, because there's plugins to do that. You can auto link keywords through your site fast. Just put a word in, put a link in, and it's done throughout your whole site. Ain't even that hard. A skilled person can do it. That's why I keep saying it's a skill issue. You're layering all these extra pieces on top and making it sound more complex than it actually is. You've been around for like 15, 20 years on here. You understand what's going on. Content marketing, blogging. It used to be guest blogs on other posts talking about things. It's all these things. And it still works to this day. And you're still going to get all the people that land on.
It does not work.
Long tail content marketing does not work in SEO. That's what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is HubSpot. You look at HubSpot is probably the #1 example of content marketing on the web. And if you look at the amount, they have spent millions of dollars on content marketing, human writers, detailed content, getting ranked, dominating the industry. That is not going to happen with AI spun content. Google is going to shut off AI spun content almost certainly. They know it doesn't provide the value that users are looking for over actual unique ideas and so on and so forth. You're still going to need the human writers. And the human writers are expensive. That's been my entire argument. Like we look at what's actually working. You're saying, well, I can AI spin this through a JSON file. Show me an example in the real world of a website ranking and it's AI spun content through a JSON file. That example doesn't exist. We can't just talk about theoreticals and hypotheticals and tell each other fairy tales. The sites that are winning are sites that have tens of thousands of dollars put into them. That's why I'm being honest with the clients who are coming to me saying, I want to rank. I want this website to grow business. You don't have the money to make it work. You don't have the money to make it work.
That's assuming the client wants to rank to grow their business, or they even understand what pay-per-click is. There's a great chance. Hold on, I waited. There's a great chance for you to be able to educate them at that point and say you need SEO and PPC and all these things. But do they really? If not, what's a guerrilla marketing campaign? $500 locally, right? And it all links back to their website, which does not need $5,000 in order to be a $5,000. They don't even need the website.
That was my point. They don't even need the website at that point.
What's the marketing going to?
The guerrilla marketing. I gave you the example of a landscaping company on TikTok that is actually doing this in the real world. That is a real world example. And they're absolutely crushing it. And I said, every contract they sign can be done in DMs and text messages. And then miraculously, they have money to go to the next level and start doing the PPC game and leveling up that way. The landing page is completely inconsequential to what a business is able to actually produce in the real world. That again, we're going back to drinking our own Kool-Aid. You can't possibly do this without a website. And then I give example after example. The local sushi spot down the street from me, 900 5-star reviews, always packed, 0 website. And we can't get it mixed up that 0 website does not mean 0 web presence. When I type in sushi near me, bang, there it is. #1 in the map pack, 976 5-star reviews, obviously the best result. And it's click, 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 click. And all people care about is phone number, location, phone number, location. And that is their entire business. A website is not needed in that transaction. And we could add one. And then the web designer would be like, look what I did. Look at all that traffic they get. Look at all the conversions. You didn't do jack shit. The magic happens in their facility and in their review profile, and the website just happened to be involved. It's not of consequence to what they're doing. They were doing it long before anybody came along and plugged a website into that transaction, okay? That's been my entire point the entire time. If you have a legitimate business doing legitimate business things, you can do that in any capacity you want without a website in 2025.
So if I search sushi near me,
yep,
and I'm presented with 3 different choices,
yep,
and then right under that, one of them has a website, do you know which one I'm going to go to?
Well, let's be clear about what actually happens in the real world. And that's fine if that's because you're a web designer. That's fine if that's your thing. I'm just telling you what happens in the real world. Obviously, they got to 900 something reviews without the website. So there are people who don't care that they don't have a website. Obviously, it's just we're looking at results. We are looking at the real world. But what I'll tell you, the first 3 listings is Yelp, directory. And then there's like one sushi company got in, which happens to be a franchise with lots of money. Wonder how they ended up in that spot, right? Because they're playing a game that a small local sushi spot cannot afford to play. And that's been my entire point the entire time. We have to be truthful and honest with these businesses about what is possible and what is going to actually come out of this transaction they're about to do.
So you're saving them.
And by the way, they continue to win because they have 900 reviews and the next one is like 300 something. And there is
reviews can be faked. They're all talking about it right now online. Yes, they are. You're out of touch then.
You can okay,
so
read
the news.
Well, when I show up there and it's hard to get in and the line's out the door, I mean, I could put 2 and 2 together. Doesn't seem fake. Doesn't seem fake, right? When I eat there and go, it's fucking fantastic. I see why they have 900 5-star reviews. That doesn't seem fake. You can only fake it so far, right? So, like, we're looking at the success, we're looking at it happening, and you're saying, well, it's very likely that those are just all fake. That's not actually happening in the world you live in.
No, I'm saying they can be. So over time, as people realize that, they're going to put less value on that. You're asking a business owner not to worry about standing out and doing something different with a website and being able to utilize that website in any way they see fit outside of Google. And you're telling them that the business cards, flyers, their little restaurant menus, they shouldn't have a website on them, so that way you can go back to their website.
Say they shouldn't have
read it at home.
I never said they shouldn't have a website.
And when you go to these websites and they're trash because they all have a picture of their menu rather than an actual beautiful menu you can read.
Most
you got to scroll in.
Trash, yes.
Yeah. So then for $1,000, $100 an hour, I help them, I benefit them, they stand out.
They don't stand out. Actually,
yes,
actually, I will make the
and one of them looks good.
No, I will make the argument that first of all, like they are hiring agencies to do these shitty websites. This is what happens when you have a $500 price point. You get a shitty result 99% of the time. And so that's why when I go to a restaurant website, I go, fuck this thing. I can't even get to the menu properly on my mobile device. It's all whacked out. It's not working. And you know what is happening? I am having a bad experience with this restaurant that if they didn't even have a website, if it was just Google and 500 5-star reviews and it's fantastic, and this bad experience isn't even involved in this, I'd feel a lot better. It's almost worse that they have a website in that regard. And this is what is happening. Again, you're acting like there's an epidemic of amazing $500 websites. That's not the reality. There's an epidemic of really shitty $500 websites. That's the epidemic that we're dealing with.
All right, let's move on. That's good back and forth there. Let's move on to another guest because I really appreciate you guys waiting down here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this again, like the stream, all that stuff. I'm going to try. Mohamedou, I probably screwed that up. If you are there,
we can't see.
Can you unmute your mic? Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to, perfect. I'm going to add you, and then we should be able to hear you if you want to talk. But you got to unmute.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Cool. What's going on?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for the stream and the content. So basically, I wanted to ask something, Kevin, but I live in Senegal, which is in West Africa, and we have different pricing table. So in here, the average salary is between $300 to $500 if you're really good. You're living a good life if you have like $500.
Is that real quick? Is that you? Are you saying USD? This is important, or is that local currency?
Yeah, USD.
Okay.
I converted to USD.
Thank you.
So for me as a freelance, asking, I understand that when Kevin say 5,000, it's not for everyone. It's like you create a value for that amounts to 5,000 and you convert it to your currency, right? So in my country, when I do that conversion, I feel like whenever I ask for that money, they will either say, oh, you're crazy, I will never pay for that money, because I think that I'm not presenting well the value I create, or either we are not there yet as a community. Like we are not using a website to understand that value. So businesses are always in TikTok here in Senegal. That's what is working right now. So they create a TikTok account, they do streams, they sell their product. they don't really understand the value they have for a website. So I wanted to ask that how can I approach that, since what I'm doing is making websites, and unfortunately, if I can say it like that, the people I should make websites don't even understand the value I bring. So how should I approach that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is like a business. This is just a business reality and a marketing reality. If you go into a market and the market doesn't need or see the value in what you're offering, there is no option. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. The best thing for you to focus on is that you live in a global market. The internet is a global market, and it's not easy for you to get work from the US or from the EU or wherever, but it is very much possible. And that's what I would start focusing on. My company, 95% of the people that I have hired are not in the US. And I don't care. I don't care where they're from. If you are good and you are skilled and you are a good fit for our team, I do not care where you are from. And I know a lot of business owners in the US. I know a lot of marketing companies in the US, and a lot of them have the very same feeling, right? Now, what you need to focus on is a way to get connected with the people who can potentially hire you. Or that you can, it's going to be very hard to do one-to-one project type stuff as like a freelancer to client type relationship, unless you're found some other way and you start to build a reputation online and people just start to come to you, right? So you do have that option. That's not a short runway option. That's going to take a lot of effort, and it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of putting yourself out there, right? But it is an option. It is an option. But I would tell you, instead of trying to fit the round peg into the square hole, which is I'm in a market and nobody in this market seems to value what we do, and they don't seem to have any money, and they don't seem to want to pay for it. Stop trying to make that work, because it's probably never going to work, and start playing a different game. This is very important. Like, if you're looking at the landscape of the game that you are trying to play and you're like, man, all of the rules are stacked against me. All of the situation doesn't look like I can really win. I need to stop playing that game. I need to go play a different game that it looks like I can actually win. And so that's what I would tell you to do, is shift your focus and your attention and your time out of that local market and into a different market.
Can I tag on? Am I able to?
For sure. Yeah, Robert, good.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's companies that will pay free employees around the world at the rate of their going rate in their country. So they're not going to give them US dollars every time. So telling him to go find a job somewhere because they're going to pay him US dollars is not 100% accurate. And you're also telling them that if the local market in your area is unable to see the value, that there's nothing you can do. But then, like 20 minutes ago, you were telling everybody that they should be educating the clients. So which is it? Is there nothing that they can do, or should he be educating and maybe becoming the #1 resource in his area where nobody's able to educate the way that he is, because he's now found a spot he can dominate, instead of trying to reach out to all the countries around the world where everybody else is already competing? I feel like the advice is a little bit not the best, in my opinion.
Can I comment on that?
For sure, good.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe like I didn't say it the right way, because when for example, let's say I'm working with Mark. Mark, you have like a business in Senegal. So Mark will say, okay, I understand what you're saying, and it seems promising, but the people I'm selling my product will not buy through a website. It's not like the business owner that doesn't understand, but the people who should buy the product, it's them that are not using the website. So let's say like the business will say, okay, like nice, make me a website. It will not work as planned, because people will not go to the website. They will just go to TikTok or Facebook and just buy there. So I don't know if that makes sense.
You're saying the businesses in your area, the customers that would interact with those businesses, they don't really find and interact with those businesses via the web, specifically like websites. They have already almost shifted to just full social media interaction with businesses in a way. Where do they
Yeah.
buy? Is there any online purchasing though? Where do they buy it? Do they go to the website for that, or do they buy it some other way?
So in here, people are, if I can say that, they are way too social. They prefer calling, like a WhatsApp call, or go to Facebook or go to TikTok, rather than, okay, I need this. Let me go to Google search and look for a product and buy. They will prefer call you and say, okay, I want to buy this. Can I have the product? They prefer that method than going to a website and do an order, which is pretty weird, I think. But you cannot change like how everyone is thinking. So I
That's
don't
an
know if that
interesting.
makes sense.
I mean, I'm understanding it. That's new to me though. I mean, again, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle on that with Robert and Kevin's take. So I don't know. What do you guys, was that how you understood it initially?
Go ahead, Robert.
I would say, yeah, that gives better context to what he was describing about the local market. So I can see how having the website in that instance doesn't make as much sense if their clientele is already buying everything everywhere else. Why would you open a brick and mortar if everybody's already buying online? It's kind of one of those things. So where if you already have your sales funnels in place and that's where the majority of your markets are already spending their time and money, there might not be as much of a need for a website at that point. And sure, at that point, you should definitely not be trying to sell them on any website, no matter what the price is, 500, 5,000, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I think you need either. I would say if that's actually 100% true and it's not changing, it's not moving in their web direction, just to give my thoughts on this, you either need to probably, adjust your skill or like Kevin said, adjust your market. Which is neither of those are easy things to do, but it sounds like you've figured out the hard part though. If that's true, then you've already figured out that that's not a perfect fit. And then, you can adjust accordingly from there. Hopefully that's helpful, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. I already like tried. At least I'm trying to fit to other markets, but yeah, it is not something you can do like in 2 days. So
What are your skills? Are your skills just web design? Are they just web development? Do you do both? Do you do any marketing? What are your skills?
So I used to be in the inner circle. So initially, I just made websites like without trying to make a good content and stuff like that. But yeah, I after watching your content and everything, I understood the value of putting a good content, like being a multiple skills human or person rather than just like coding and building. So I try to work my social skills. I try to work my sales skills. Try to convince the client that I can bring value.
And what kind of client were you trying to get that you feel like they would just say the prices are crazy? What did they want and what do they need? Did they come to you? Did you find them? How did that work?
Usually I find them and I work with tech businesses, B2B, and in the tech world, and I find them. So I'm not sure if I'm taking too much time or if I can
No, go ahead.
continue. Yeah. So what I do is I contact a business that has a website or doesn't, and I offer them a free audit that I present opportunities to increase to implement value. And then after that audit, I show my skills and then I upsell them my services.
Okay. And so you were starting with an audit and then you're trying to sell them a new website or SEO? What are you trying to sell them?
Not necessarily a new website, but whatever they need. So if the website is built really badly and we have to start a new website, I would tell them, yeah, the website is basically cooked and we need to start a new website.
Are they local businesses? Do it like local service businesses? Are they product businesses? What kind of companies are they? You said tech, but like B2B, like what are they doing?
I usually work with service businesses. I don't like to work with product businesses. I don't like to do e-commerce stuff.
Yeah.
I really don't like it.
So it's service based. Give me an example. One service. What, like a service business? What are they doing?
For example, I worked with an agency that is in the market in digital advertising.
And what were you doing? So this was were you doing like white label work?
What is white label like?
That's like where you help the agency do their work for the contracts that they've already sold.
No. I approach them and look the business and what the competitor do, and try to place them like, okay, you are doing this right, you are doing this wrong, you can do this to better present yourself and stuff like that.
These are companies local to you.
Yeah, local to me. Yeah.
Okay, and they have money or they don't have money?
Yeah, I think they have money, but I feel like it's a complicated thing. But yeah, they have money. They have to have money.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think we'd have to have a more detailed discussion, and we can kind of advise. I don't know if you're still in the inner circle or not, but we can definitely advise you on some steps that you can maybe a little bit of a pivot. If they have money and they have a need, and you're unable to get them to say yes, what that tells me is there's a, like in the sales conversation, there's a ball being dropped probably, or in the initial thing, the one kind of red flag is like you're reaching out to them versus them reaching out to you. It's always harder to go get something like cold, just, hey, I don't even know how you're getting their attention in the first place. If you're emailing them or picking up the phone and calling, but all of that kind of, like, if it's a cold lead, it's going to be way harder to convert. And there's going to be like, you're going to need a much more strategic process other than we're going to do an audit. And then whatever they need after that, we're going to try to sell them on. That sounds like a very, like, yes, that was like probably worked again in 2010. This era, the audit thing is a dead horse that has been beaten forever. Like, it can't be beat anymore. Like, I would immediately get away from trying to offer an audit for a cold outreach kind of campaign. They've heard that a gazillion times, I'm sure. So we just need a better strategy, but it's going to take some more questions and some more fine tuning and things like that. So I don't think we're going to be able to solve it on this call, but you're welcome to reach out.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It was really a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
Absolutely, brother. Keep working hard.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. See you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Matthew. This might have to be
Matthew,
the last one. Yeah.
Matthew, you good to go? Just give me a nod. Yep. Okay. All right. Matthew, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Kevin, good to see you again. I don't know if you remember me from our call a while back. I thought this was a really good conversation. Yes. I've had this same battle. I've been doing websites for 20 plus years. And I found myself where Robert's point of view is for a long time, struggled with it, had to really overcome it. I've even hopped on calls with Kevin and talked through it. So I have a really good example of where this sort of situation is going on right now. So I rank really well on Google. So if you search web designer near me, pretty much anywhere in the world, or freelance web designer, I'm like the actual only freelance web designer on the page, because everything else is Fiverr, Wix, Upwork, freelancer. So I get a lot of leads, a lot of tire kickers, a lot of low-hanging fruit that don't really have the budget, like Kevin is saying, where there's, $5K plus. So some of those low-hanging fruit I wanted to sort of capitalize on, right? And sometimes what I would do is find a freelancer that would charge a little bit less, and then just sort of sub it out to them and get them to do the work. I make a little bit of money on it, and I just pay them to do it, so my time's not involved. And it seems to have always created a situation where one, they end up expecting way too much for the price that they're paying, and then I have to get involved because they come to me with the expectation of high level quality design, and maybe I could have done a better job of setting that expectation, but ultimately I have to side with Geary on this, because I was stuck in the rut doing exactly what Robert is saying. Yeah, I thought, okay, cool. If I'm going to make $2,000 this week doing a website, I'm good. but it's not providing value for the client, and it's not doing what they need. Usually they're going to end up wanting more for the less amount of money, and then it turns into what they expected versus what they got. So yeah, that's my point of view. I just thought I'd jump in here and say that, sort of talk through that and give my feedback.
Appreciate it. Well, we got some comments real quick before we I'll drop it over to the guys, but he's not lying. People are Googling you, Matthew, and they're saying they found you. So that's impressive.
I'm usually top 3. So I've worked for a long time on SEO. That's not an easy keyword to rank for, and you're talking high search volume, tons of traffic, tons of leads. I'm really work on qualifying those leads. I've had to grow because of that. Like I can't charge less than $5,000 for a website because I don't have the time. I have 10 projects going at one time. There's no way. So the last call I had with Kevin, I think last year with me and my partner, was switching from this freelancer mindset of doing sites for $2,000 or $3,000 to charging $7,500, doing $1,000 discovery calls, and it's really shifted. I've been able to scale. I'd rather do $5,000-$10,000 websites than $22,000 websites. That's kind of where my mindset went and switched. While for a long time I understood what Robert was saying, because that's the rat race that I was in for a long time.
Yeah. Thoughts on that, Robert?
I can see it. Like you said, you're expanding. You had to grow beyond just what you were doing because there was no way you could get more out of yourself in that moment. You had to reach out and get other freelancers, to do that. It's smart. And that's what I was saying is the initial $5,000 and under discussion is the $4,000 website. If I can do $4,000 worth of work for a client and give them a solid website plus some marketing and some ideas on how they might be able to utilize their social better, for the $4,000, they've got much more than just a $5,000 website, and they're able to do more out the gate with what I'm giving them for that just lower amount. So instead, my biggest gripe was Kevin's trying to price everybody out of this whole entire market here. Under 5K, it's worthless. No one touch it. Don't worry about it. And I just felt that was a little bit short-sighted.
I think what Matthew spoke to when he says I'm handing off some of these lower budget projects to other providers, and the expectations aren't in alignment because it comes back, the design's not as good as they wanted it to be, or the copy is not there, or the website's not getting the results that it was supposed to get. I think when we talk about reality and telling the truth, and we're just playing averages, the average provider at that price point is not knocking it out of the park. That's why I said we have an epidemic of sites that don't work, and they don't look good, they don't have good copy, and they don't work. That is the epidemic. Okay. And we align that with, okay, why is that the epidemic? And we come to the conclusion and the reality that because enough money wasn't put into the work, there's only so much bandwidth, and it's economics 101. It's like, you can't take $15,000 worth of services and experience and time and all this stuff and compress it into $3,500. And maybe you can once, you can't output that consistently. You can't stay on track with it. And even if you do, you're project to project. And I'll just give one example here that people need to factor this kind of stuff in. If I say I'm going to save the client money by not charging them for copywriting, so I'm not going to write the copy, it's going to save them a ton of money. Let's say it's going to cut $3,500, just throwing random numbers out. It's going to cut $3,500 off the cost of this project. That actually brings them down into the sub 5,000 range. They're super happy, or they claim to be super happy. And then we get started on the project. And we could do a pop quiz in the chat right now. What is the number one complaint of agencies? They won't send me the content. Client won't send me the content. I'm sitting around waiting for the content. I can't finish this project. I can't ship it. And now money's run out. I got to go find somebody else to do. I bring them in. Now I'm juggling. Now we got 7 different things going. 4 of them I don't have content for. I'm playing this crazy game of manage everybody. And by the way, I'm still broke. And so I'm like, damn, I got bills to pay. I'm going to look for new projects. And when the new project comes in, and then now Betty from fucking 9 months ago is finally like, oh, we got the content. We need that shit done today. And you're like, sorry, Betty. I got 3 other people that are actually like paying attention. And this is the game that is happening at this level. And I don't think anybody wants to play that game. And clients don't want to play that game. And that game is avoided by just being honest up front and saying, this is not the game you should be playing right now. You don't have the money for it. There's so many, and it's not, let's sell them a $5,000 site instead of a $500 site. I'm saying sell them no site. Get them going with a real business strategy that actually produces results, high ROI, short runway situation of the dozens of opportunities that are available to them. And a website is not needed for that to happen. And then when they have the money, then we can do it the right way.
Yeah, totally agree. I've been, when I get into the situation, it comes to the price point on the initial call. What I've been trying to do is just say, hey, this doesn't make sense, whether it's SEO. If I'm charging $2,000 a month for SEO, does it make sense for a massage therapist to pay $2,000 a month to book an extra 3 or 4 appointments because only 17 people are searching in her area? It doesn't make sense, right? Like I'm trying to educate the audience on that. Same thing with web design. Like if the ROI doesn't make sense for your specific business, if you're not at a point where you're making at least $20,000 a month in your business to be able to afford a $5,000 website, then you should probably start with Wix or Squarespace or Fiverr, or just go that route. And then if, a lot of times that's what they need. And they need to hear that, or making them realize that, because I think that's where a lot of people are stuck. And unfortunately, all these DIY website builders that just, GoDaddy is the greatest at it, because they just upsell them on the checkout, and then they think, I'm going to go build my website, and then they want me to go into GoDaddy website builder and fix it, and I'm like, nah, that's not going to work. And so yeah, I think it's really educating your client on the price point is a big factor. Explaining why you cost what you cost. But yeah, that's my point on that. That's kind of what I've been doing on my sales calls. Just having my guy kick out the tire kickers. I'm kind of putting together a process right now so that when the leads come in, we don't even get on the call unless you know that you're ready to spend X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Cool. Great insights, Matthew. Really appreciate you, man.
Coming on. Appreciate you.
Thank you for hopping in. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the conversation. Yep.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you soon. We have time for one more. Nauman was in here early. I want to give him a chance. Quick one. All right, Nauman, can you unmute your mic just so I can tell that you're ready to go? If you're in here. Okay.
Hey,
I think we should be able to hear you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yep.
All right, I'm sorry. I got all kinds of technical issues, so I'm on my phone right now. But
All good. All good.
jumping up. All right, first of all, Robert, love the decap, Southwest Michigan over here. Thank you for joining WP Townhall. I'll just jump into a couple of points I have. So number one, this $500 site idea, I think, is missing out on a lot of things. So hours of like front-loaded required strategic thinking in order to fully understand a business and give them a holistic approach to a marketing strategy. Not to mention the time it takes for information architecture, copywriters, image, asset management, design concept, approval phases, all this stuff, right? So I'd be very interested in hearing a case study of some real world projects from your experience where you went from project start, discovery to website launch within 10 hours. And not only that, but where the website performed and delivered ROI. And that also isn't like a cookie cutter design, right? Like 10 hours, which I think the rate also that you're mentioning is wildly low. What it says to me is I didn't spend even the minimum amount of time to critically think about all the aspects of doing this thing right. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, I gotta say, philosophically, I'm having trouble understanding the goal of your point. The vibe I'm getting is that that it sounds like you are interested in devaluing your own skills and the skills that agencies provide.
Think
Oh,
he
do
cut
we
out.
still there? It's cutting out a little bit, but still with us, Nauman?
You do what we all do, and it sounds like, oh shit.
No, we can hear you now. It came back in. Sorry.
No, I think he went out again. I think he's going in and out. I
don't
think
know
we
where I
got
cut off. Sorry.
It's all good.
The
I
gist
think
of
we
it,
get.
maybe.
I think we get the 2 points. Robert, do you want to comment?
Yeah. First, I'm not saying every website's $500. I'm saying every website under $5,000 is still a website, and a business that can afford one and pay you $4,000 for more than just a basic template is worth talking to and communicating with. And if this area and this arena is so trash, I feel like a smart and intelligent person could go in and dominate. Why can't you stand out in a sea full of trash and you can stand on top of it? People will notice. If there's a diamond in the rough, they're going to spot you out. They're going to see you and they're going to notice you when you're able to provide them something. I'm not saying that $500 is the going rate for a website. So maybe a simple landing page that takes a couple hours and you already kind of have some of the copy written out and it's just a quick one-off thing and you're just helping someone that you know rather than an actual business looking to expand and grow, then sure. But a $2,500 website for a single developer who can work with AI and create compelling copy for the client. Maybe they give them the initial bits and pieces and you're intelligent enough to put it all together. Why can't you charge $3,000 and be happy with that week after week after week after week, and then still be able to consult with them ongoing? And again, we're not even just talking about websites as if they're just WordPress. This can be any type of website. You can have a static site, you can have any type of page, and those don't require ongoing maintenance and upkeep and everything. It's just content if you want to add more. That's it. So there's gray areas in all of it. And I just don't see where someone saying, yeah, I'm going to charge $3,000 to build you a site over the next week is a bad thing. If they can do it and bring forth like compelling work, and then you make 12 grand a month before taxes, that's more than you're going to get as a senior web engineer. How is that not worth it? Unless you're trying to grow into an agency and become something bigger and something beyond that, and you're trying to help other businesses that are trying to grow beyond that. Because if that's the case, then yeah, sure, charge more, because you're going to be doing a hell of a lot more than just this work. I think we're still talking about two different things, I feel like, even after all of this.
Well, I think one thing you're looking for, again, is ongoing relationships with the people that you're doing contracts for and doing websites with. The other part of 2025 is that, and this has been for a while now, though, is, a website really should be a living, breathing thing. It's not really the brochure concept, the digital business card concept. For an agency, it's like, how many of those can I ship and then go have to find another one and another one and another one and another one, because there's nothing ongoing, either because they don't have the money or because they don't need their website to evolve or grow or scale or anything else. And so if I'm thinking about, and this is where everybody goes to, well, just get them on a maintenance plan. Just rack up these maintenance plans. You need the maintenance plan because you're targeting projects that can't really sustain your bills, your lifestyle, whatever you want to have happen, and you can't do it consistently. That's a huge. I see that tremendously in the terms of like, oh man, we're going through a rough patch. I'm not getting any leads in the door, again, because a lot of agencies and freelancers, small agencies and freelancers, are 100% relying on referrals. They only have one. That's the only way that things come in the door, right? And that's not super reliable. There are times where nothing's coming in right now. Okay, it's not Matthew. Matthew's ranking for everything. He's cranking them in. That's he earned that, and that's fantastic, right? Not everybody can say they have that. Most people will answer if you poll them. I get almost all of my gigs through referrals, right? And they'll go through slow times and they'll want maintenance plans to make up for the slow times, and on and on and on. And it's just all part of the rat race that we talked about in the project to project lifestyle. And like I said, expectations don't, we could just go down the laundry list of problems that happen in this niche. And I point right back to, Do we have an epidemic of freelancers and small agencies doing sub $5,000 projects who are super fucking happy with their outcomes and their lifestyle and everything that's going on in their agency? Or do we have an epidemic of people in that price point going, I'm struggling. I don't know where the next job's going to come from. I got 18 jobs going on because 9 of them Betty didn't send me the content for yet. Like, this is the thing I hear over and over and over again. I'm not hearing stories of like, this is so fantastic, this $2,500 price point that I'm at. I just love it. This is the best business I've ever had. I look at epidemics and I go, okay, well, if we don't like this, let's identify what's going wrong with it. And then let's propose ways to fix it. And then we can even ask, does this even have an outcome? And I look at the other epidemic, which is all these small businesses have websites and they're not really doing anything. They don't know what their numbers are. They don't know how many leads they're getting. It's not ranking. It's not doing what they hoped it would do. These are the epidemics that I'm looking at. And I think a little bit, Robert, you're just asking us to ignore these epidemics. And you're like, but no, it could be this way. But I'm like, but it's not this way, right? Like, I'm just trying to look at what's actually happening in the real world that I see over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't think that we're in disagreement about everything about like maintenance plans and things like that. I think there's better ways to upsell yourself and do different things, productizing your services or actually building products and having something that's can sustainably just get rebought over and over again. These are smart ways for smart people to do smart things. I think that's great. I think that would be a better revenue generator long term than just maintenance plans. Because again, you're going to max out at how many maintenance plans you can keep up with. There's a time versus money situation here where are we placing the value on what we're providing? Or are we placing the value on what we're timing ourselves for as a freelancer? And we just want to be able to live a happy, sustainable life and be comfortable and do some awesome stuff in the process, because then that leaves us open time to do other things. Maybe our agenda isn't just to build and grow and be an agency. Like I've worked at a few. I would never want to run one. So here's the thing. If you want to be completely solo as a provider and you want to farm out extra work to like, okay, I'm gonna farm out the PPC to this provider over here that I'm connected with, which is actually a strategy that I've taught. And I want to farm out work to a copywriter or involve them in my projects, but they're not really part of, like, I didn't hire them, right? I just have a network of other providers and experts in their field, and I involve them in the projects. I don't want the overhead of an agency. I don't want to manage a team. I just want to be by myself. The same holds true. You're going to have a very rough time doing that at the sub $5,000 price point. When you get over and the businesses that you're working for they don't even know how to put that to work for themselves, and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing on digital. They just need more. So it's better to just tell them the truth and advise them, and it's better for you. That's why I started that. My opening arguments, if people go back and listen to them, are I want what's in the best interest of agencies and freelancers and clients, right? So this sub 5,000 thing for me, it doesn't appear to be working for any of them all that well, which just tells me, let's just tell the truth about it and let's do the things that actually work. Okay. So I have one point to that. So if a freelancer is unable to get leads other than through referrals, basically for the most part, the referrals are like the majority of their game that they're getting. How do you expect that person to then upsell and qualify themselves as a skilled professional to provide those services to someone else in their business if they can't even do it for themselves yet? Shouldn't they be already able to do these things in the first place? And if that's the case, they already understand what they're worth, and they're probably smart enough to be able to condense the time. And you go, hey, some of these projects, you had clients, some of these projects 4 or 5 hours, and you know exactly what you're going to do because maybe they provide you the content and it's not really that big of a lift. So you go, okay, $1,000 for that ain't nothing. I can do that in a couple hours and then go hang out the rest of the day with the kid. These are things that I'm looking at. I'm not just looking at it as from a growth standpoint. I'm trying to understand where the arbitrary limit is. If a client can't pay $5,000 for a site, they are not a real business. Why? What if they chose to spend $3,000 with a skilled professional that could provide them 3 things, and then they got all that done in a very limited amount of time, which made the person happy that was providing the service, and now the business has something that's leaps and bounds better than the trash that AI has been producing for all the other businesses in their area. I just don't see how that's like argument you can stand on. I think we're spinning our wheels a little bit here because we're living in this fantasy where the $3,500 providers are providing something so awesome. And that's not what we're seeing in the real world.
Yeah, I guess it is a skill issue for them. I mean, you're knocking all the people in that price point by saying skill issue, because well, you are though. You're saying
I'm describing what you're saying.
You're saying that you work in that price point and you produce obviously way higher quality than the vast majority of people in that price point. And if that is true, which it could be true, I'm not going to say if it's true or false. I don't know. I haven't looked at anything. So I'm just taking your word for it that you are better than all of those other providers. Okay. Let's just assume. Assume you're better than all the other providers. No, I didn't. Really, I didn't. No, I went to your project.
You got screenshots of my accounts.
No, I went to your social profiles. I didn't go any further than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just assume that you are. Let's assume that you are better, okay, than these other providers. Why are you charging the same as them? Number one, right? And the other thing too is I don't, because you got out of the agency space, right? Or you're just doing software now. What? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not in an agency no more. I walked away.
Okay. Like, were you were interested in software now? Like, what was the transition?
I've been in software like basically my whole life. If you looked hard enough, you would have known.
But you were saying you were doing freelance for small.
Yeah, for a long time, I was selling. No, I didn't say that. I use that as an example. You stick to this 500 like you're forgetting that you said 5,000 and under.
I'm just trying to figure out
$4,000 websites. $4,000 websites from a skilled professional can give all kinds of value to their client while still providing 2 weeks worth of work for a skilled professional. And then they do that twice. They made $8K in the month. How is that something that you're telling people is something they shouldn't even care about anymore?
No, what I'm looking for is what you're describing as a skill issue. So when we say there's an epidemic of bad websites at the $3,500, $2,500 level, whatever, you're saying that's a skill issue, but you're saying you could, because I think what you've been trying to say is if you were doing those websites, they would be way better than the ones that I've been looking at.
You're saying that you went out there and found a bunch of slop from AI and Wix and whatever else.
Yeah, I'm just saying when you do any local search.
Right, and you said that, and my response was that's a skill issue. A skilled professional
Microphone thing again.
Websites when.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I just jump in real quick since my connection's back? Sorry, guys.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just to again, just put emphasis on the advocacy point of like, as you guys are talking, if you are that good, I guess my question is like, why? Why aren't you charging more? Why don't you want to boost the value of your skill set and the skill set that you can bring to someone? It sounds, if I'm being honest, it sounds like I'm hearing a lot of like kind of hollow arguments with like hollow premises citing skill issues rather than like evidence-based arguments with tangible results. So yeah, and just as a side note, it just goes back to the old sentiment of like, if it takes me 20 minutes to do something, the client's not just paying me for that 20 minutes, they're paying me for the 20 years it took me to do that. So why not value our skills higher, educate the client on why it's important to pay these like quote higher prices. And then finally, I just want to, so it sounds like what Robert, that you're saying that your $500,000 clients are coming to you with IA figured out information architecture, copy, strategically written, creative direction sorted out, imagery, assets delivered, analytics set up, domain, DNS, all this stuff. It sounds like what you're saying is in 10 hours, you can do all that because all that stuff's been delivered to you. And then on top of that, it's like 0 revisions. None of these people are nitpicky. Everything's approved. So my last question is just, where are you getting your clients? And can I find some of them? They sound great.
It's not. It's generalized. We're talking about a 5,000 and under project. If I have 20 years of experience and I know that I can do it for a certain amount, maybe my life agenda is not how rich can I get. Maybe my value on what I'm doing in my life is not based on the dollar amount. Like if you look back, September, October, November, December, I released like 30 plugins plus to the WordPress community for free. Gave them all away. No one said a bad thing about them. People love them. They're all good products. I'm just giving them away. I'm helping out the community, trying to give back. This is a skill set that I have. So instead of just gatekeeping or saying I only want to charge this amount of money because I'm so special, if I can do it and this other person can do it, but I can say, hey, I can do it for this price point because that price point makes me happy. I'm cool making $8,000 a month and being able to spend the rest of my time with my kid and my wife and be able to have fun, make music, do whatever I feel like doing. That's okay for me. But now I'm being told I'm not allowed to say that or do that or feel comfortable or confident in myself because I'm not charging $50K like an agency with 24 people does.
No, nobody said you're not allowed to do. So again, I'm trying to advocate for freelancers and agency owners, but also for clients. And you're saying, hey, I can make $8,000 and I can chill with my kids and I can have a nice life. And that is totally good if you are producing work that is actually helping those businesses dramatically improve their lot, right? And in your case, you could very well be doing that, right?
Yes.
I would say you are a unicorn. Because when I look at that generalized niche, that is not the outcomes we're seeing. In general, right? The outcomes we're seeing are websites of no consequence that do nothing for them. So I have to give the generalized advice of, guys, this is not working. And I'm telling the clients, this is not working for you. Stop hiring these people at this price point because they're going to ship you something that I can't even tell these days if AI did it or they did it. And then it's going to sit there and do nothing and you're going to get no results from it. So I'm advising you, just like if it was my mom or my brother-in-law, I would literally tell them, don't do that. Don't do that. Do not put $3,500 into some cheap, fast website that is not the route you want to go. I would do X, Y, and Z. And I would crush it in these other areas where there's much greater opportunity than I would just risk on a low budget provider. And this goes back to, why do big companies with lots of money hire expensive providers? Because there's far less risk. There is a lot of risk in low budget. You are on a hope and a prayer that you're going to get something that actually works. And that is not a good way to invest money. You don't invest money on hopes and prayers.
If a big agency corporation has tons of money, they're not buying into the 1-2 person shop. They're talking to the agency with 46 people and up, and 50 people and up. So
there are levels. There are levels.
Right. And that's what I'm referring to.
There's a lot of
you're
levels.
Saying yes, and you're saying anybody that plays at this level is unintelligent because you said that they're not. You said they're not putting out. You said I'm a unicorn, so everybody else you're talking to can't do that.
I'm saying when
they
look at
they
the
don't
landscape,
know how to do 1 or 2 things.
But would you
you're
agree?
Saying, there's a lot of crap out there. Yeah, there's a whole lot of it. I'm not saying people in this room are putting it out, but I'm saying if they were comfortable with the AI and the people that are the people that are going and clicking the Wix buttons you're telling them to go do instead of
most of these aren't AI yet. These are not AI yet.
So the people going and buying the Google or the GoDaddy sites or the Wix sites, or
there are
the
epidemic.
They have no idea. Is them.
We know where the epidemic comes from.
Yes.
We know where the epidemic comes from. The epidemic comes from buying templates on ThemeForest and customizing them, jumping into Elementor. I don't really know the fundamentals of web design, but I'm going to slap some shit together in Elementor and I'm going to ship it out the door. And then these sites sit around and don't do anything of consequence. And we look at the pipeline of, well, how did that website come into existence? Oh, well, now it makes sense that it's doing nothing, right? But I guess companies aren't learning, right? They just keep doing it. And we've trained them to ask for it now because Wix and Squarespace. Why do you think I've been so aggressive against Wix and Squarespace? And now WordPress AI coming out with this narrative and Elementor. I've been very aggressive against Elementor and Divi because they all share the same narrative. Guys, this work is easy. It's click, click, click. You move pixels around a screen. Anybody can do it. You can spin it up in no time and just sign up for our service. These are the predators, Robert. I'm not the predator. These are the predators telling people, hey, anybody off the street, come on in. And then they do it and they either get lost in it, give up on it, whatever. And then they have to go find a real provider, but they're still in the mindset of, I don't know, this stuff should be pretty easy. It should be pretty cheap. It's a commodity. And none of this messaging actually respects any of the people in this room right now. None of that messaging respects any of us. None of that messaging admits that this is a highly technical industry. And if you want real results, you have to hire people with a good amount of experience and a good amount of skill. And that is where results are going to come from. And this fantasy that anybody off the street can come in and do what we do, they can come in and make some shit like appear as pixels. It is not going to do anything for a business. And that is the epidemic we are looking at in the real world. And I know you're the unicorn, but I have to give advice not based on unicorns. I have to give advice based on what we're seeing in the real world.
I'm not a unicorn. I'm just a dude. I've just been doing this for a while, like a lot of other people in here have been doing this for a while. So you pick up on a few things, you understand a few things, you learn a few tricks, you work on your own sites and you market your own sites and you find some paths that might work better than others, and then you utilize that knowledge for your clients. If a banquet hall locally can only have so many, events per month, and they just want a landing page that looks good, so when people come to the site they can find out what their food prices are and what their actual like event space looks like, because people are interested in giant pictures for that stuff. They don't want little thumbnails on Google. They want to see it and feel it. So when they come to this landing page and they see it and understand it, do I have to now say you're not allowed to have a website and you're not a real business because you can't afford $5,000 for that? They're already doing a lot of the heavy lifting with the local work. The website is just the final piece. It's the nail in the coffin of all the other stuff they've been doing. There's many paths to the top of a mountain.
The point of my
You may be discounting the idea of the fact that a banquet hall who wants to display their beautiful imagery, whether it's on Google or a landing page, is like, that means you're assuming already that in your 10 hours of a website build that you've been provided with beautiful imagery, professional photography. Like, all these things take time, cost money to like build a strategy around, like make sure that so, I don't know, you're shaking your head, so it sounds like these things don't cost time and money. I'm a little confused.
I was messing around with this topic recently just to see what I could do, and in 36 minutes, I think it was, I took a pre-existing banquet hall website local to my area that was looking like it was set up on Squarespace or something like that, and I created a nice landing page based off the images and content they already had that was not laid out right. They had a picture for their menu with all the stuff. I sent it to AI and said, make all this text. Now put it in box format. 15 minutes later, I had a website laid out that if you go to it and you see it, you're going to go, this is a nice banquet hall. You're not going to go, this is some cheap rundown place that I don't want to have my event at. I don't want to host my kid's graduation or whatever.
Incredible hypothetical. It's very cool that you did that theoretical work, but
it's not hypothetical.
Did you build that site and then did that site perform? Like, did you launch it? Did you and then?
No, I did this as a hypothetical, to Kevin's point, to show that you can't make websites for under $5,000 that look good and would be fully functional for the client's needs. It was 30 minutes.
And you also removed the client from that process, which I took their mildly hot, like kind of.
The point was.
Hold on.
The point was the consequence of the website. So nobody's disputing the fact that you can use AI to whip up something that looks a little better than something that currently exists. The argument was, what is the consequence of doing that? And until you publish it and a client, let's go back to the TikTok example or the sushi example. The sushi example is the perfect one. I got 900 5-star reviews from my sushi restaurant. And Robert comes along and says, you guys don't have a website. You really need a website. And so you put up a website with AI. It could take you 15 minutes, Robert, right? You spin that up, you hit publish, and all of the traffic and attention and brand recognition that they already earned goes to that website, fills out a couple contact forms, and Robert goes, see, I'm amazing. Look at this out. But we can all look at that and say, that is, you put a piece in place. The website itself has done nothing extra for that business. It has none of their success. You can't point to the website and be like, without that, they would be nothing. Or without that, they would still, like, it doesn't matter. They didn't need it to get to where they're at, and it doesn't matter now.
Guaranteed that if people come to their site, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're also missing out and removing the whole. So I've worked in agencies for 15 some years. When we build a website, we're not just looking at that one tactic. Holistically, I'm asking other questions. What are all your other needs? What are your business goals? What are your touch points? Everything. What you've done in your hypothetical example is that you've removed looking at or asking the questions of like, what do you need? Where do you want to go? What other touch points do you have? So I just think it's a cool feel good thing that you're describing, but I just don't think it's pragmatic in a real world.
I think the point is nobody was disputing the fact that you can whip something up with AI in 15 minutes or whatever, and it looks better than what already existed, and then you could publish it. But the question is, what is the result after you publish it? What is different for that banquet hall? It like, was the traffic that was there that you found, was it even relevant? And are they getting any traffic? Is it relevant? Is it converting? Maybe for them, it's already converting and doing what it needs to do. Do we know any of that data, or is all of that the part of the hypothetical?
You guys keep speaking in these hypotheticals like I didn't actually do this. Like,
no, but you didn't do the second piece, which is publish it and look at results. And what I'm saying is you have to measure the results based on a real. So if this banquet hall is already successful, and if I go interview the owner of the banquet hall and I go, how do you get all your contracts that come in here? And they go, oh, everybody in the community knows us. And everybody recommends us, and 99% of it's referral based. And then I go, so what are you getting through your website? Oh man, I haven't checked that in a while. I mean, we get some contacts now and then, but I know that website is doing nothing of real concept. They are running a real legitimate business without this website. And you could make it prettier and you can make it better, and it might get a couple extra contacts, but it's really not doing much to contribute to the business that they're already running and that is successful from all of these other channels and work and effort and time and money that they've done and established up to that point. We're looking at, like, when we build a website, because that's what we're in the business of doing, we don't want to look to that and write a case study that says, well, it looked better and they got a few more contact form fills, right? We want to like do something of significance. I want the clients pointing to that thing and going, hey, without that, I mean, we added $50,000 a year to our bottom line, or we added $300,000 a year to our bottom line that we can directly translate right back to that website, because websites of consequence are websites that help businesses scale, not websites that they can say, oh, well, that looks a little prettier and that got a couple more contact fills, but really we get 99% of our business offline and it doesn't really matter anyway. Like, that's not the business we want to be in. They were fine with the thing that was already sitting there because it's not of consequence anyway.
All right, I have to jump in.
That's hypothetical, by the way. You're saying they don't care and it's of no consequence and it won't make a difference. Why? Because it's not $5,000 and has PPC backing and all the extras. You're upselling and upcharging and making yourself bigger than just saying, hey, I'm going to give this banquet hall a website in 30 minutes, charge them $500, and I'm going to be happy for that $500. That's $1,000 an hour. I'd be delusional not to take that. And now they have a website with a landing page that has fully functional light box and a contact form and everything they need to get more bookings. And when people come to it, they see the pictures, they actually write and fill out the form. That's how they get their actual quantified value out of something that looks better. You're not going to Walmart looking for Gucci.
That's
so if you land on any of these sites, how? Who's going to Walmart looking for Gucci? Nobody. No,
I'm saying that's the hypothetical. We're making up results of what happens with this banquet website. No, there isn't. It didn't get done, and we don't have data to look at, so it's automatically hypothetical.
We all, as hyper professionals, can't look at a Squarespace site and another landing page and go, this one for sure is going to get them something more than that will.
Oh no, I can't tell. You know what I can tell by? I can tell by reading copy, but ugly sites outperform beautiful sites all the time. That is a very common thing. There's and anybody in this industry knows that, right? Yes, so making it prettier usually doesn't help anything. And that's why I said if you gave me 10 hours.
Mic thing again.
Your mic's messed up again.
Got the mic thing. Real quick while we fix that. Nauman, appreciate all your insights, brother. Thank you very much. We got 2 more people in the chat here.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry guys for staying on.
Yeah, no worries.
You're good, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I guess I was. Robert, can you just answer, like, what was the last time you worked in an agency and delivered client sites?
You're muted.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted right now.
My bad. A few weeks ago, like maybe a month ago now, roundabout.
Okay, again, so I'm just going to jump back and say I would love to see a case study of stuff that you're talking about in real world stuff. And
I think we should, like, just as a community or like somebody in the community, like, because it doesn't take too long with AI, right? Find a company with a shitty, just do it for free. We're going to charge them money. Just do it for free. Just see if an AI website can do anything of consequence in replacement for their current shitty website. I think it would be like just in general a good case study.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
for
Then
sure.
just one last point on the area of the fact that giant corporations, they don't choose the lowest ball offer. It's not because even the most cutthroat corporate company, these guys make decisions based on give me the cheapest thing, let me maximize my profits. They don't choose the lowest thing, even though they could. They choose someone who's rightfully priced because they know that they see the value in that, and they know that because they themselves value like know what it took to get there, and it wasn't by like under devaluing the services that they provide. So thank y'all. I'm gonna peace out. Sorry for staying long.
Yeah, thank you.
All
Thank
good,
you.
man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quick, because we're not all talking about hypotheticals. I did a very long stream yesterday where I went and did local search after local search, and the audience fed me, hey, look at this industry, look at this industry. And we just do the local search, blah, 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 near me. And we go look at the top 10. So this is not hypothetical. We are looking at real results, and the top 10 sites that are winning. When you look at them, number one, half of them are directories, which already tells you half the space available is cut down. But we go click on those, whatever 5 websites happen to be ranking, and you can click through them and you can immediately go, this is not a sub $5,000 website. This is not something I can spin up in 25 minutes with AI. There are no examples of what you're describing that are winning in the real world. That is non-hypothetical. We can look at what is winning on Google, and there isn't a single example that I've ever found where I'm looking at an obviously 25-minute AI produced website crushing it on Google. Not fine. It's not there. So why? The question would be why? Why is it not there? If that's what it takes, why is it not there? If that's how easy it is, why is it not there? Why is it not like when you're like, dude, I can run so fast. The training's not even that hard. But I look at the podium, and all the people on the podium are Olympians who train all the time. That tells me all I need to know.
Yeah. There's people that'll train 24/7. There's people that'll like smoke weed on triathlete missions, like just hanging out. The Diaz brothers do it all the time. There's many ways to the top of a mountain, Kevin. You keep dancing around this. Like there's only one truth here. There's not.
The Diaz brothers.
You're saying, hold on.
The Diaz brothers have spent decades training.
Yes.
Like, yes,
and perfecting their craft. Yes.
And
now they get to chill out and make money and hang out and do what they love and be able to have fun doing it.
Yeah. Yes. Nate smokes weed, but he's put in a gazillion hours training is what he's done.
Swinging nunchucks in his house, chilling. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's
Nate didn't come out of the AI. We didn't create Nate, and he's at the top.
No, and I wanted to make one more point about the Google thing. You keep talking about like epidemics and these things and stuff, but like you're not telling people where's Google going to be in 18 months. They're now
even going to get
your
worse.
Search results to different search results through their AI search. So now your focus is consistently this whole talk been Google. People will search places
no. It hasn't
near
been
me.
only Google.
There's 1,000 different ways for a business to market, and the website is one piece of that. And if you don't have that or don't deem that critical, I don't understand.
But how
the
is
disconnect there?
Yes, here's the thing. The landscape has shifted twice already in a major way and is going to shift again in a major way. I would say that people need to be prepared for the fact that when I need to find something, I'm going to Grok or I'm going to ChatGPT or whatever. I'm going to ask, hey, ChatGPT, what are the best sushi places in my area? Boom, 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 boom. Now, that is pulled from the same types of algorithms. And so if I want my business recommended, we're going to have to put out the social signals. Just for everybody, again, the whole point of this was to provide value to people. I've said time and time again, the number one thing you can do in business is build a real business and a real brand that has a good reputation, because it doesn't matter what happens to the landscape of Google or whatever. When you go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, ChatGPT, what are the best coffee shops around me? Starbucks, number one, and then it's going to do more, whoever else can win below that. But brand is the number one ranking factor in any algorithm. Any algorithm of consequence, brand is the number one ranking factor. And so what I've constantly advised people is build brand, build brand, build brand. And we looked at local examples, and there was one in the lawyer space. So somebody said, look at attorneys. I pull up attorneys. Here's directory. And then the first ranking website was a brand that spends $10,000 plus a month in radio ads in my city. I hear them all the time on the radio. That's SEO. And I made the point that if you don't know that radio ads are SEO, you probably shouldn't be in SEO, right? But that's an example of a company that understands brand. And when I brand, I will win everywhere. I don't care if the algorithms shift, because everybody wants to find the most relevant results. That's the whole entire point of the algorithm. Most relevance or most interest. And if you're interesting and you're relevant, it doesn't matter what platform, it doesn't matter what the algorithm looks like, you are going to get found. And that's what they need to focus on. And the $500 landing page concept could be deleted in 2 years. We don't know. The whole concept of a website could be, we don't know what's going to happen. All right. But what we do know is that, going back to the epidemics, and I don't want to keep spinning the same wheels over and over again, I'm just ear to the ground. Man, a lot of agencies seem unhappy in this price point, and a lot of businesses seem like they're not getting a lot in this price point. It's not really moving the needle for them, and they're not really educated, and they're confused as to why the website that they thought everybody was supposed to have is not really doing. I don't want to see that happen anymore. It doesn't need to happen. So I feel at this point we're just kind of repeating the same things over and over again. Mark, are we ready to put it in the books?
We do have. You want to?
I know we have more. They're going to keep coming in. You left the door open, Mark. They're going to keep coming in.
Should we do like a 2-minute lightning round with DK123 and David? I mean, they've been waiting. Real quick. All right, I'm bringing in D123 on audio and David. What's up? All right. D123 first, and then David, hit it real quick.
Hey guys, Doug here. Real quick, co-host of PDX Help Desk out of Portland, Oregon. We help a lot of people with questions about websites, tons. A lot of beginners, agencies, budding freelancers, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know about where you're at, Robert, but the price of milk here is gone up along with eggs. So I don't know if you're hypothetically talking $50 an hour or if you really work for $50 an hour. I don't know how you can do that. But a lot of good points you've made. Here's my take on it. I no longer can afford to even think about a website for much less than $5K because there's more to it. Yeah, you can spin stuff up with AI, but you're going to open yourself to accessibility lawsuits, because you still have to massage that thing to get it working right. And what about PCI compliance? If you're selling stuff online, we have new PCI compliance laws that are going to cost as much as that $5,000 website to deal with. What about those things? I mean, we're all talking like it's just what you see. That's 10% of building a website. The majority of it is behind the scenes, making it work right, making it load fast. What about hosting? I'm in a situation where I will no longer take on a client if they don't host with my hosting company. Not because I want the money, because I can't afford to deal and dick around with the crap that's hosted out there. It's the same thing with various aspects of the website. Kevin's always talking about maintainability. How many times do you build a website and you never have to respond to a client's requests afterwards, and you have to come back a couple months later and do something with it and massage it? It's much more efficient and cost-effective to build it right the first time. And so if you educate the client that if they just take the next guy on Fiverr and throw $1,500 at them, they're pretty much lighting their money on fire. They need to know how to most efficiently use their money. And that's where I don't see how you can race to the bottom and say that you're going to make $50 for 10 hours and build a $500 website and be done with it. You haven't addressed accessibility. You haven't addressed efficiency of loading that thing on mobile. What about optimizing images? And here's what AI can't do: alt tags. No way in hell can AI do alt tags. So your website better not have a high image count. Otherwise, you're going to screw yourself there. But anyway, those are my concerns, and thanks for listening. Love
Doug,
you guys.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Robert, you want to retort on any of that and just give your thoughts?
First of all, I'm not saying $50 an hour, 10 hours, a site's done, that's it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that there are many different levels to this. And if we're speaking just in agency terms, where we're talking to other businesses with 20, 30, 40 employees and up, then sure, there's a different price point because there's more that you're doing in it. But you're now talking about a race to the bottom instead of looking at the fact that Kevin's telling everyone to race to the top. what's the odds of everybody hitting the top and getting all that work when the economy is what it is, and
I
we're
didn't
going
say
to
race
see
to the
it for
top.
sure. Tank,
Race to the middle.
you're pushing
maybe.
right, level up, right?
Well,
I mean,
first of all, $5,000. We were first talking about $5,000 minimum.
Yes.
That's nowhere near the top. That's
no,
I'm
not at
struggling. I'm struggling to get you to accept $5,000 as a minimum. We're not talking about the top yet. We could talk about the top, but like even mid range. I'm not saying everybody should be 10 up. Okay, there's a lot of meat in the middle.
Yeah, there is, and and exactly. And you're saying anybody under $5,000 for a website isn't a real business. That's what you said.
No.
You said if you're doing websites for $5,000 or less, stop.
No. I said stop. I didn't say you weren't a real business. I said
you said that the business people that were buying those sites were not real businesses.
I said I'd be hard pressed to find if you said, hey, would you think a business, like just picture in your mind, business. Okay. Do they have $5,000 to invest in marketing? And if they say no, I've got questions about like, are you a hobby? Are you a bit like, I've got questions. Okay. Now they might be an aspiring business. They might be a startup business. They might be, but they're not really there yet. They're not, it's like the sushi company that doesn't have a website, but has 805. Do you think they have $5,000 in their bank account? I think they have $5,000. I think obviously it's a real business. It's like they've got things working.
There's giant companies losing money every day. Just because they make it don't mean they keep it.
Okay. All right. I think they have $5,000 though. I think they have free and clear. I think they have $5,000.
Possibly. And for the record, you said if your client doesn't have $5,000 for a website, they don't have a business.
I have questions about why they don't have $5,000, and that's a red flag. When you're on sales calls, you need to be looking for red flags.
For a website, no one said they didn't have $5,000. They just don't have $5,000 for a website from you with your multifaceted agency.
No. If I say, hey, all right, you want a marketing asset that's going to produce you leads and sales and growth for your business, what kind of money are we working with? And if they come back with a number under 5,000 and we press on that of, is this because of a lack of education? You don't know what it's worth. You don't know what they're supposed to cost. You've never done this before, whatever. We can work out that education point. But if they're like, I literally only have $3,500, that's a red flag. Okay. That's a red flag. So their willingness is different from do they physically have it? And my statement was, if they don't physically have it, that's a red flag. If they have an unwillingness, it could just be an education thing.
If they don't have $5,000 for a website.
Correct.
The exact word you said. And you said if you're doing
websites
for under $5,000, stop.
I did say stop. Yes, you should stop if you're doing them for under 5,000.
There is no reason.
We're good.
You're good.
All right.
Let's go, David.
David.
Did you close the door, by the way, Mark?
The door, there's no lock on the door. Okay. You can just walk in, but we're done after David.
Yeah, we're done. David's the last one. Don't
appreciate you, brother.
Awesome. Nice, productive conversations you're all having. And I appreciate you all getting together and actually having these discussions. One issue that I see in the industry is that people say, I make websites, and it completely disregards that each thing is a specialization. For example, we say we do web design, but it's like, it kind of feels like it's a one-person army. When we have web design, we have a different set of programs. Like if you're designing, you're using Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma. If you're doing marketing, now you're in the PPC world, your strategies to be able to grow maybe something like lead generation. You have Facebook ads. If you are doing development, now you're in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Like when you have all of these things and they're different professions, how can one person just say, oh, I just make websites and I can just do a website for $500? Because everything's a profession. You can't just be, oh, I make websites and I do everything. Yeah, I'm a professional designer. I'm a professional developer. I'm a professional marketer. I'm everything. It kind of seems like really unrealistic to produce any type of website that's of any significant quality, because it's a profession. If you have any type of volume where you're actually getting customers, how do you make this work in a professional fashion when you really don't have the skills to do that? Like we could half-ass every part. We could half-ass the design. We could half-ass the development. But like it was just previously stated, there's also things of concern like accessibility. Where does that play in? You could generate some content with AI, sure, but AI can't do every little part of it. It can't do an incredibly useful design, even the copywriting. Like you need to actually go back and forth for a while. And who pays for that time where you're interacting with the AI to actually push it to the level where it gives you something that's reasonably usable? When we're talking about these website builders that are AI based, are they organizing the back end of like WordPress and actually creating custom post types, or are they just throwing everything into a big bucket? And how does that become a manageable maintenance experience for that website?
Gotcha.
So I think about things like that, and then not only that, somebody pays you $500, you just made them you put something together for them. That money is gone like really quick. That money is gone before you even get to spend it. So I start thinking how can this possibly work?
We keep talking about 500 like that was the actual number we were supposed to be talking about.
It could be 1,000, it could be 2,000.
Right. 500 was hypothetical, but if me as a professional can do these things and I can provide that in 2 weeks, I talk to a client for 1 day's worth of the 8 hours. I discover and do all the things on day 2 that I'm going to do to put it all together. Maybe on day 3, I circle back with the client just to verify everything that I've found is correct. Then 4, 5 through 8, I'm building the site and putting it all together. I've made my money. I've made a nice chunk of change for myself. I'm not taking too much from them just to justify my skill set. I can be a professional without charging what these consultants are charging in these other realms. It's not about those places. It's about these places. There's hypotheticals thrown around, but there's lots of businesses that are starting up and don't have the $5,000 just to throw on a website because they'd rather throw the $5,000 at the actual marketing. So you explain to them, look, $1,000 for a very beautiful landing page and $4,000 worth of concentrated marketing around this website makes the website itself sell itself in no time. You put a button on there for someone to download something. You sign them up to a newsletter, so you keep them and retain them. There's all kinds of different ways to do this. And I feel like, again, we're talking about agency life again. There's people and other people involved instead of just this level. There can be this level, $3,500 for a site's nothing. I'll take it. Anybody want one? Let me know. It's not that big of a deal.
So let's go. I'm going to add in the context of the fact that, I lived that life for a long time at the $3,500 price point, at the $4,500 price point, at the $2,500 price point. And I'll tell you exactly what would continue to happen. We get business owners who they only want results. And everybody knows this is like, people are not buying a website. They're buying an effect, a consequence of having the website, right? That they have in their mind. And so they come to us and we're in the sales call. We're judging, what do they know about digital? What do they know about websites? And it's not a lot. And they're looking to us as they're like digital Sherpa, where it's like, we need to put the plans in place and put the structure in place and put everything in place to get them the results that they have in their mind. And I agreed to do that so many times for $3,500 or $4,500 or $2,500. And every single time I would get to a point where I go, okay, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. We don't have the money for that. I either have to drown doing it myself or I have to cut corners. Which one of those am I okay with doing? Because the math only maths to one conclusion, right? And there just isn't enough money there. And then if I go back to them and I say, hey, like, to really make this work, we're going to need more. Well, I don't have more money. That was the situation every time. It's like, because, and like I said, that I started to dig into their business. Either one, they're lying that they do have the money and they're just not willing to put it into the web, or two, they're, oh yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get the stuff off the ground. We're just not there yet. And they physically don't have the money. And then we're sitting here like, all right, well, I guess this is going to go nowhere then, because like the math has to work out somehow. And like David's talking about, when you actually need a copywriter, when you actually need someone to do the PPC or the Facebook ads or whatever other expertise has to happen, there's no money for them. There's no money for them. And so that's a massive headache and a massive problem that I learned to solve by just telling people the truth. It's not this idea in your head of this website having this huge impact on your business and you dominating digital in your local area and you being one of these players that you see on Google currently. And it doesn't matter that Google might not be relevant in 5 years. They're looking at it now and they're going, I want to be there. And all the SEO, you know how many emails they get from SEO providers? $500. We can get you in top 5 results. They're seeing this narrative over and over and over and over again, right? And then they hire somebody and they're thinking $500 and then they can't get the results. It's why am I not getting the results? Man, that was the last $500. I really could have used that on payroll. Like now we're really doing a disservice to these clients. This is the real world though, Robert. This is the real world for this
that's your
level of
make-believe
clientele.
land. Yeah. That's
Okay,
what you're
let's
saying.
do a
You're talking
poll.
corporate and
Let's
blue
do a
collar.
poll.
There's a difference, right?
Let's
Corporate
do a
and blue
poll
collar.
on that price point, the people who shop in that price point, which is why I've said don't play in that price point, because the people you're going to find, if you go fish in a certain type of pond, you can't be surprised when you pull out the fish that live in that pond. And those are the fish that don't have the money to do the things, to play the game, to get the results that they have in their head. And they've all been lied to about Wix and Squarespace and these SEO providers that are emailing them, cold email and all this other stuff. That is not the game that we want to play. That is not the game that we want to play. I just came to that conclusion and started telling people the truth. That's all. That's the difference.
I guess, if you say so. Corporate and blue collar. There's two separate things here at play, and you're disregarding one to focus on the other. And again, fear-mongering. You got to educate smart clients with money, not dumb clients with no money.
No,
Why can't you educate the unintelligent so that way the web is better overall long term? This is that there's an arbitrary line in the sand you've drawn and said you cannot get $3,500 worth of value into a WordPress or open source based static site generator or anything like that, and turn around and give them something that will generate them $7,000 of value in the next year. That's an investment.
You know what I give them? I give them for free the truth that, hey, you can't afford to play this game right now. You will get eaten alive playing this game. What I would advise you to do is boom, 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 go do it this way. And I send them off in that direction so they can actually get an ROI and they can actually get results and they can go from not having the money to having the money. That is the goal. That is the plan. That's what I'm doing for them. It's not that I don't care about them. In fact, I'm telling them the truth because I care about them. If I didn't care about them, you know what I would do? I'd take their $3,500 check. I'd spin up some bullshit with AI and I'd ship it out the door because I don't give a single fuck what happens to them after that. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I didn't care.
That's horrible.
If I really care,
that's horrible.
Exactly. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it. So I tell them the truth.
Who said they were spinning up AI bullshit? I'm saying
I think we just had a discussion about how easy it is.
That's what AI spits out.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely easy to build up a single landing page that performs better than the Squarespace website that they currently have. Yes, it's also possible to take the $3,500 that you're saying is inconsequential and not needed and not necessary and give them something that will turn that $3,500 into $7,000 or more over the next 6 months to a year. And you're saying that's not worth it.
No, that's not happening.
Of course, you're turning them all away. You're saying I don't want your money. Your money's not.
No,
good
I'm
here.
asking examples for where that's happening. I'm asking for examples of where that's happening, and we don't have any.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't have any. And because I go back to who's standing on the podium. Look at the podium. Go to Google and look at the podium, and it's companies spending tens of thousands of dollars. And that's why I'm saying you just look at the podium. You can't get up there.
Not Google. You're saying Google is everything. You've been a content marketer for so long.
Google is a result. Google is the result of what they're doing. Like I said, the law office that was on rank number 4 was there. Yes, they had SEO going and they had a nice, big, juicy website, but I also know they're spending tens of thousands of dollars in radio ads. And so when a company comes to me and I'm saying, dude, that's who you're competing against. You can't play that game with them because you don't have any money. They're way outspending you.
You're forgetting about a freelancer who does bookkeeping locally and doesn't care about having #1 dominant on Google for that because they already have connections and they're working. They have a brick and mortar and they want their website to be more of a brochure.
Yeah, what do they need the website for? They don't need the website. That's like the
they can go to send them to TikTok. Send them to TikTok. Yeah. Check me out on social media. That's what we're doing now.
No,
that's
send
business.
them to Wix. No, I'm just saying you don't want to be in that business.
Send them to Wix. Okay. Yeah, send them to Wix. We're talking about how it's trash, and you're telling people to just go use the trash.
Right.
Yeah, it's trash. It's garbage. It's out there, but don't help them. Don't work with them. Don't help educate these people and give them the ability to have something better. because you're saying your $300 an hour is more important than their ability to build a sustainable business while you do some good in the world. You're valuing money over the stuff that you're actually putting out. That's why every product you have is paid only. That's why this etch product is something you had people buy into before it was here. This is the value that you're giving. You're saying I have to have money for the things that I am doing. I am saying that is not always the case. There are all kinds of examples. What about the 22-year-old that's just got kicked out of his parents' house and he's got $600, wants a site, and he's going to go promote his DJing service, and he's going to use the site to showcase some of his music and skills, and I'm going to help that dude go ahead and actually make a sustainable living for himself, and I didn't charge him $5,000 for it because it wasn't necessary for his case. There's different cases for all of this, and you keep dancing around that.
You know what I do for those business? Do you know what I do for that kid?
Send him to Wix. You already said that.
No, I give him free advice and I tell him exactly how to get successful, exactly the steps he should take. And I tell him, dude, if you think a website's going to change your life, that's the wrong level of thinking. You need to do this, this, and this, and that's actually going to move the needle. No, because he's going to build a website and it's going to sit there and do nothing. That's what it's going to do.
Why? If you're a skilled professional, shouldn't you be helping guide him in that
aspect?
Magic. You're saying you're doing it. It is magic.
Not magic.
When a DJ gets out there, all his friends realize his parents kicked him out, and he's out there doing DJ gigs. Every house party around every little local venue is going to want him. People are going to start. You keep talking about this like DJs? 500 company.
They go to TikTok.
People they know.
No, they go to
Today it used to be YouTube, then it was Instagram Reels, then Facebook Live. Facebook Live.
There was a whole platform called Musical.ly.
Yeah, There's all kinds of platforms. Entire purpose. The whole point.
That's where
Why
independent artists are coming from.
Why would you not want to have a home base?
Here's the
get rich off SoundCloud, right?
Just one thing. I want to look at the podium again. I want you to point to one independent artist who is wildly successul that you're going to say their website did it. Or are you going to say,
I'm not saying that.
Exactly. And I would tell them that. And I'd be like, stop focusing on that. Focus on X, Y, Z, because this is the shit that matters right here. This is what you need to do. And I give them that advice for free because I do care about
the website matters. Yeah, you're the savior. The website matters.
No, I'm not selling them bullshit they don't need. It's not going to move the needle. I'm giving them the
link in my bio and sign up at my link tree. The fuck are you talking about, dude? You're telling people to just use everybody else's platform, and they're all garbage. But these platforms are okay if you're going to use those instead of using something that somebody that knew you and respected you and went, I'm going to give you for $600 because I know that's what you're working with.
I'm not going to take any of their money.
I'm going to give you something that's going to help. That's ridiculous.
I'm not going to take any of their money. I'm not
going to send them to Wix.
No, what I'm going to say is if you're a DJ and you're fucking legit and people love you, you're going to get your ass on TikTok and you're going to prove that concept. You're going to prove that actually happens, and you're going to build a community there, and then you're going to funnel that community to different places, and you're going to monetize that XYZ ways and whatever. But we're not going straight
until they shut down traffic to TikTok. What are you talking about? Dude, Google is the #1 podium. TikTok is the only thing you need if you can.
It doesn't
go
matter if they shut down TikTok.
Where's all this going to go to? You find the attention that leaves. They go to the next reel. Who gives a shit? They're going to go to your site and check out your stuff. They're going to find your products.
The idea that a website is the only thing that gives a business success is unrealistic.
No, I didn't say that. Kevin said that.
It shouldn't be their first step.
It's a part of it. No one said it was.
No one
said it was. He already has the skill sets. Yeah, right. You don't need it. You need TikTok and Google.
You need distribution, and a website does not distribute anything. You need a distribution to be discovered. And websites do not distribute anything.
TikTok. Yeah,
Instagram, TikTok.
Websites don't distribute. You are so out of your mind right now.
What does a website distribute? If I click publish, where is the distribution? I click publish. Where is the distribution?
What did the rebooted body do a website for then? Why didn't you just use YouTube and podcast and that's
Google
it? You could have did that only.
Distribution. 150,000 visitors a month in SEO.
Yes.
That's where it came from. Google was my distribution
extra
channel.
Beyond that.
Google was my distribution channel. The website was not distribution.
In 2010, bro, you were saying that's dead.
And I said we don't live in 2010.
Google's dead. Yeah, we live on TikTok today. We live on TikTok today.
All right, we're good.
I think there's the factor, like, for example, when somebody is going to sell on eBay, they automatically they publish their product. The audience is already there. And then they're like, oh man, if I make my own website, I can pocket all the commission myself. I don't got to pay eBay a fee. They make a website, but then there's no traffic. The website is sitting in the abyss. And the only way that it actually gets traffic is, one, you promote it yourself. That's, you could generate content, educational content. You can pay for ads, and you drive the traffic to there. But when you make the website, there is no distribution. That thing is just sitting there like if we were in outer space.
Jesus.
Mark, hey, Mark Zemansky. I gotta tell you something, Mark. Listen.
What's up, dog?
Here's how we know we're done. Okay, we got our coffee money from Ruben. Okay,
we did. Yeah, we got like $10 or $12. Matt threw in some. Appreciate you guys literally supporting the stream because we didn't even do the ad read.
I stream until $2 comes in from Ruben. That is my.
That was a while ago.
No,
it was a while ago.
2:09
No, there's a ton. There's
more of those?
multiple. Yeah, it's racking up. It's racking up.
Let's just do that.
David, appreciate your time, brother. Thank you so much for the thoughts, man.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Robert, I honestly appreciate you coming on and having this discussion. It was fun. It was intellectually stimulating. I tremendously do believe that the audience got a lot of value out of this. So 100%. I just wanted to say that. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, this was fun. And I know Twitter was all in good fun. You know, you play around, you hype it up. It's WWE. That's the theme I've been going with. So we're just sticking with it, you know?
Okay. I appreciate it.
We all like many ways to the top of a mountain.
All right.
Yes, sir. Robert, real quick, anywhere you want to direct anybody, we always want to give everybody a call to action here. If they want to check you out.
On X, you can find me at Devio Robert. And then you can, I don't know if you can see the video where I'm at on here, but static.site. You can find out more about the static site generator that I'm building. That takes care of a lot of these problems, by the way.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, appreciate the discussion, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And it's another WP Town Hall in the books. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.
Peace.